Chapter 43. Last night, Qing Menjing didn't know what Yi Xiaoye was doing, but she didn't fall asleep until 12 a.m. She didn't know what Yi Xiaoye was doing. After breakfast, Jean Bei's car arrived and parked at the gate of the villa. Qing Menjing threw 100 yuan to Xiao Chen and got on Jean Bei's beetle. After Qing Menjing left, Yi Xiaoye happened to come in for breakfast. Seeing that Xiao Chen took 100 yuan, Yi Xiaoye couldn't help but show a disdainful look. Perhaps, she felt that Xiao Chen was living under someone else's roof and had no dignity. However, how could Yi Xiaoye know Xiao Chen's difficulties? Shrugging, Xiao Chen didn't take it seriously and followed her out of the villa. Yesterday, when Xiao Chen went to the convenience store, he saw a relatively large pharmacy that also sold medicinal ingredients. It seemed that the scale was not small, so Xiao Chen decided to buy the medicinal ingredients that Elder Sky mentioned. "Sir, what can I do for you?" As soon as Xiao Chen pushed the door and walked into the pharmacy, a melodious voice like that of an oriole in the morning rang. Xiao Chen raised his head and saw a girl in a white coat looking at him with a smile. The girl was about 18 or 19 years old. She didn't have any makeup on her face and had a clean smile, which made Xiao Chen feel refreshed. This girl was like a sister next door, which reminded Xiao Chen of Lin. But in comparison, the young girl was graceful and unrestrained, while Lin Kuer was extremely shy. Seeing that Xiao Chen was staring at her face, the girl couldn't help but blush. However, seeing that Xiao Chen was wearing a school uniform and didn't look like a hooligan, she felt that she might have misunderstood Xiao Chen. "Is there something on my face?" the girl asked uncertainly. "No." Xiao Chen shook his head and also realized that he was a bit rude, which made him feel ashamed. Even though Xiao Chen had seen too many beauties, he couldn't help but admit at this moment that the pure beauty of this young girl was very unique. It was like a clear spring, although clear, it was sweet to taste. "I'm sorry, everyone loves beauty. I thought I was looking at a goddess's photo on the computer." Xiao Chen's words made the girl a bit dumbfounded. He didn't have to be so frank, right? However, because of Xiao Chen's frankness, the girl didn't hate him. Instead, she felt that Xiao Chen was quite sincere and interesting. Besides, Xiao Chen was right. Everyone loved beauty. Who didn't like being complimented by others? "It doesn't matter. I'm not a goddess." The girl was a bit embarrassed. "It doesn't matter. I want to buy some medicinal herbs. Isn't there a master who specializes in dispensing medicine here?" Xiao Chen looked at the girl's appearance. She should be a salesperson here. She could sell some finished medicine, but this kind of thing was usually handled by someone in every pharmacy. "I am." The girl was a bit unhappy with Xiao Chen's belittling. She stretched out her hand and said, "Give me the prescription." Xiao Chen was stunned, but he still gave the prescription that he copied to the girl. His heart was puzzled. This girl also knows how to dispense medicine? The girl took the prescription and looked at it. At first, she didn't think much of it. But as she read, her face suddenly became strange. Even the way she looked at Xiao Chen changed. Xiao Chen also felt the girl's eyes. He suddenly felt a bit nervous. What kind of eyes is this? Is there a problem with this prescription? Could it be a prescription for aphrodisiac? Otherwise, why would this girl have this kind of eyes? However, Elder Heaven Ancestor couldn't lie to himself. So, Xiao Chen still asked, "What's wrong? Is there a problem with the prescription?" Are you sure you want this prescription? And you want 5? The girl looked up and down at Xiao Chen. It made Xiao Chen have a kind of creepy feeling. Is there something wrong with it? Xiao Chen asked tentatively. "Do you know how much this medicinal herb costs?" "And you actually want 5? The girl really couldn't figure out what Xiao Chen wanted to do. "Moreover, I can't understand your prescription at all. What is the use of these medicinal herbs when combined together? Are you sure you want it? How much?" Xiao Chen also realized the seriousness of the problem. Looking at the girl's tone and expression, this medicinal herb is probably expensive. But I'm sure I need it. According to the shop's price, this medicinal herb would cost at least 20,000. 5 would be 100,000. The girl said, "Are you sure you didn't randomly see a prescription somewhere?" "Of course, I'm not doubting you. It's for your own good." Xiao Chen looked at the girl's serious expression. He was a little helpless. He didn't think that the medicinal herbs would be so expensive. One medicinal herb costs 20,000. 5 medicinal herbs would cost 100,000. It seems that the 10,000 in his hand is simply not enough to do anything. What should I do? Borrow money from Miss? If he said it clearly, Miss would definitely lend it to him. But as for cultivation, Xiao Chen really didn't want to say it. Even if he had the strength, he couldn't say it for the time being. It wasn't that he didn't trust Miss, but he was afraid that Miss didn't have a deep social experience. If she revealed a flaw, then it wouldn't be worth it. Yen, so early. Is there a customer? An old voice sounded. As the voice sounded, an old man wearing reading glasses, a white beard, and a tang suit walked out from the back of the shop. "Grandpa, this customer wants to get medicine, but his prescription." Hong Yen handed the prescription to the old man who had just walked out. "I don't understand it, and the medicinal herbs inside are very expensive." "Oh, let me see." The old man took the prescription and stroked his beard. He sat on a chair and carefully looked at Xiao Chen's prescription. Although the old man didn't show any expression on his face, a storm was brewing in his heart. However, after he finished reading it, he looked at Xiao Chen without batting an eyelid. "Young lad, where did you copy this prescription from? Do you know the use of it?" Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. He was an astute person. The old man did not say that the herbs in this prescription were expensive and useless like Hong Yen. Instead, he asked about the origins and uses of the prescription. Could it be that this old man could understand it? But that shouldn't be the case. This is a prescription that cultivators use to temper their bodies. How could this old man understand it? However, Xiao Chen didn't dare to expose it. He just said, "I can't reveal the origin of this prescription, and it's hard to say what it does." Xiao Chen simply didn't make up a lie. With the old man's appearance, if he could understand it, then he understood it. If he couldn't, then he understood it. Xiao Chen didn't need to lie. A lie could be seen through at a glance. "Do you understand the value of this prescription?" asked the old man. "Just now, Miss Hong said that it costs 20,000 per pair, and 5 pairs require 100,000, said Xiao Chen. Yen, did you add this bitter fruit into the calculation?" asked the old man with a smile. "Grandpa, I've never heard of bitter fruit, and the shop doesn't have it, so I didn't calculate it." Hong Yen shook her head and was a little embarrassed. "Grandpa, is this medicine expensive?" "It's a small matter if it's expensive. The bitter fruit is hard to find." The old man said with a smile, "If it weren't for an old friend of mine asking me to help collect it, I wouldn't have it, but I happen to have some left over." When Xiao Chen heard it, he suddenly showed a bitter face. The previous medicine was already expensive enough. Now that a bitter fruit was added, it seemed that it was even more valuable than a city. Xiao Chen could only ask weakly, "Grandpa, how much does this medicine cost? If you can tell me the origin and use of this prescription, I can give you 5 pairs for free." The old man looked at Xiao Chen with a smile. "This." Xiao Chen was shocked. Although the temptation was in front of him, Xiao Chen wasn't a person who only cared about immediate benefits. He just hesitated for a moment and shook his head decisively. "Grandpa, I appreciate your kindness, but I really can't say it." Then there's no other way. Yen has already said that this medicine costs 20,000 without the bitter fruit. With the bitter fruit, it's at least 50,000. When the old man said this, he saw Xiao Chen's bitter face. He smiled slightly, changed the topic, and continued, "However, I can give you a discount this time. 10,000 yuan per pair." "Really?" Xiao Chen couldn't believe his ears. "Grandpa, are you kidding? I don't need to pay anything?" "No need, 10,000 yuan." The old man shook his head. Xiao Chen took a deep breath and solemnly took out an envelope from his shirt pocket. Although he was reluctant to part with it, this was the only property he had on him. However, the old man's 10,000 yuan was already a great discount. Xiao Chen wasn't afraid that the old man would lie to him. After all, Hong Yan had said before that this medicine cost 20,000 yuan without the bitter fruit. The old man only took 10,000 yuan. Obviously, it was a huge discount. Thank you, Grandpa. I will earn money as soon as possible to buy the remaining 4 pairs. This is all I have today. I can only buy 1 pair. Although Xiao Chen wondered why the old man would give him a discount, Xiao Chen was sure that it must be because of his own prescription. This old man was likely to see something in it, but Xiao Chen wasn't sure what he saw. The old man wasn't polite. He accepted Xiao Chen's 10,000 yuan, and then said to Hong Yan, Yan, you take care of the other medicinal materials on this prescription. I will go get the bitter fruit. Okay, Grandpa. At this moment, Hong Yan looked at Xiao Chen with an even stranger gaze. Although she didn't ask, her grandpa didn't say anything after seeing the prescription. He only asked about its origin. Obviously, this prescription wasn't a useless prescription in her eyes. Moreover, her grandpa actually gave Xiao Chen a big discount, which made Hong Yan feel strange. The price of her family's pharmacy wasn't expensive. On the contrary, it was very cheap. Hong Yan's evaluation of Xiao Chen was already based on the lowest price, but her grandpa actually gave him a 20% discount, which made Hong Yan somewhat puzzled. Chapter 44. The old man came out just as he grabbed the herbs. He placed a small red fruit into the herbs. However, this small red fruit made Xiao Chen's eyes narrow. His heart was in turmoil. This was because he was very familiar with this small fruit. He had just seen it yesterday. This small fruit was the fruit that Yi Xiaoya kept in the fridge. Yesterday, Xiao Chen was a little curious about what it was. Why did Yi Xiaoya put a fruit in the medicine? Today, he found out that it was called the bitter fruit. TSK, this Yi Xiaoya is really rich. She can even afford such expensive herbs. I wonder what the medicinal soup she brewed is for. Grandpa, what kind of medicine is this bitter fruit usually used for? Xiao Chen asked calmly. I don't use it much. I only use it for some special prescriptions. However, if you don't tell me, I won't tell you either. The old man smiled at Xiao Chen, as if saying, you want to know? You want to know? I won't tell you. Xiao Chen was a little speechless. He didn't expect this old man to be so vengeful. However, there was nothing he could do. He couldn't expose his secret just because of his curiosity, right? Therefore, Xiao Chen didn't say anything more. He picked up the wrapped herbs and quickly walked out of the pharmacy. After Xiao Chen left, Hong Yan turned to look at the old man. Grandpa Chen, what is this bitter fruit? Why have I never heard of it? Miss Yan, because this bitter fruit is not very common and the person who bought the medicine doesn't need it, I didn't put it out. The old man actually changed the way he addressed Hong Yan. If Xiao Chen was present, he would be extremely surprised. It turned out that this old man and Hong Yan weren't actually grandfather and granddaughter. The old man's surname was Chen, and Hong Yan's surname was Hong. Oh. Then the person who bought it just now. Hong Yan was a little confused. Grandpa Chen, what is the use of this bitter fruit? I'm not sure about the specific use. Perhaps this thing is originally not something that people of my level can come into contact with. Grandpa Chen said with a bitter smile. Grandpa Chen, so you were lying to him before? Hong Yan looked at the old man strangely. Previously, the old man wanted to get information from Xiao Chen, but he didn't expect that Grandpa Chen didn't know about the use of the bitter fruit. I can't say that I'm lying. At least I know a few prescriptions that require bitter fruits. It's just that I don't know the specific uses of these prescriptions. Grandpa Chen said, I've seen some of the herbs in the prescription that the young man brought before in other prescriptions. Because I don't know the use of this prescription, I want to ask about it. I see. Hong Yan nodded. Grandpa Chen is really a profiteer. Huh, Miss Yan, in our line of work, profit comes first. Grandpa Chen laughed. Then why did Grandpa Chen give him a discount? Hong Yan found it a little unbelievable. It can be considered an investment, Grandpa Chen said. Hong Yan nodded as she didn't really understand. Xiao Chen was carrying a bag of priceless medicine. The pocket on his body was deflated. The remaining 200 yuan was given by Miss Yan. Xiao Chen could only be frugal with this money. Originally, Xiao Chen wanted to go to the electronics store to buy an electric clay pot for decocting medicine. However, when he saw the price of 299 yuan, Xiao Chen's mouth twitched. He didn't have enough money to buy it. He could only go back and discuss with Yi Xiaoya if he could borrow her electric clay pot for himself. Elder Heaven Ancestor, isn't the prescription you gave me a bit too expensive? Xiao Chen said with a bitter smile. Who knows what the prices are like now? Moreover, I rarely buy things in the secular world. Elder Heaven Ancestor didn't expect that the medicine he listed would cost so much money. It made Xiao Chen so embarrassed. Forget it, it seems that I have to find a way to earn some money. I just bought one set and I'm already broke. There's still a long way to go before I can buy 5 sets. Xiao Chen sighed. To be honest, Xiao Chen didn't have any concept of money in the past. But now, a penny really stumped a hero. It wasn't that Xiao Chen didn't think about borrowing money from Zhu Yingxiong, but Xiao Chen knew that Zhu Yingxiong didn't usually have a lot of pocket money. Although if Xiao Chen asked, Zhu Yingxiong would definitely help Xiao Chen, but Zhu Yingxiong would definitely ask Xiao Chen what he needed the money for. At that time, Xiao Chen didn't want to lie to his good brother, so he could only give up for the time being. Xiao Chen, this isn't a problem of 5 sets. These 5 sets are only for those who have reached the 3rd level of qi refining stage. There will be more after that, and the medicine will be even rarer, so I'm afraid the price will be even more expensive, Elder Heaven Ancestor said. The most important thing is whether you can buy them or not. Really? Xiao Chen was stunned, and then smiled bitterly. It seemed that his road to poverty had just begun. This made Xiao Chen feel that he should do something. He could borrow money from Zhu Yingxiong once, but he couldn't borrow money endlessly, right? Not to mention that Zhu Yingxiong didn't have that much. Even if Zhu Yingxiong didn't ask once, twice, or 3 times, how could he not ask? With a depressed face, Xiao Chen walked into the classroom. Before buying the medicine, it took some time, so Xiao Chen almost stepped into the classroom when the class bell rang. Originally, when Lu Zhenming saw that Xiao Chen didn't come today, he was quite surprised. Then he guessed excitedly, did Vicious Wolf kill Xiao Chen first, and then he was killed by someone, courageously, ? Thinking about it, it was not impossible. As for the fact that Xiao Chen's body was not found, perhaps Vicious Wolf had already disposed of the body, so it was impossible to find it in a short time. But now Xiao Chen appeared in the classroom intact, which made Lu Zhenming's original excitement suddenly feel like being poured with cold water. Damn, this guy is actually fine? Lu Zhenming murmured with a gloomy face. It seems that this guy is lucky. Brother Ming, we can only bear with this matter for now. Skinny Monkey also didn't have any good ideas. After all, he had already announced that the matter of Mongang's sect was over. It was impossible to find trouble with Xiao Chen in a short time. Forget it. Let's not study this bumpkin anymore. How's the plan of saving the damsel in distress? Lu Zhenming asked. I've talked to Mongang's sect, and he also said that he will cooperate with us. It's just that the guy is too stupid, and I'm afraid that he will be in a daze. But with my help, there shouldn't be any big problem, Skinny Monkey said. The most important problem now is that we don't have a chance. No chance? What chance? Lu Zhenming was dumbfounded. Brother Ming, it's a chance to rob. Qing Menjing goes to and from school with Jean Bebe every day, and she's driving. How can we rob her? If we try to stop a car, Jean Bebe, that tigress, might really run us over. Skinny Monkey didn't dare to stop Jean Bebe's car. He hadn't lived long enough. Lu Zhenming nodded. He didn't blame Skinny Monkey for being timid, but Jean Bebe really dared to do that. If she died, then so be it. She couldn't even find a place to reason with her. The robber died because of a car crash, and you still want to reason with her? If you go to the Jean family, not only will you be admitting that the robber was hired by Lu Zhenming, but Old Master Jean might not be reasonable either. With Old Master Jin's personality, even if he hacked Lu Zhenming to death, his death would be in vain. Let's find a chance. Don't be hasty. Lu Zhenming pondered for a moment and said, I don't believe that Jean Bebe will have a chance if she follows Qing Menjing every day. Ask Mongang Sec to be ready. She will be here whenever I call her. Okay, Brother Ming. Skinny Monkey nodded. When Qing Menjing saw that Xiao Chen walked into the classroom very late again, a hint of suspicion flashed in her eyes. Where did this guy go this time? Did he go to find Tang Tang again? But Tang Tang had been here for a long time. That was impossible. Cousin Menjing, are you thinking of my brother-in-law? Jean Bebe asked while eating a lollipop. Yeah, why do you think he came so late? Qing Menjing said subconsciously, but after saying it, she quickly changed her words. Who would miss him? Come or not? Sister Menjing, you don't mean what you say. Jean Bebe said with a smile, don't hit me. I understand. Qing Menjing raised her hand and put it down helplessly. She glared at Jean Bebe and said, eat your lollipop. Why did he come so late? Tang Tang was also curious. It was impossible for Xiao Chen to get up late. Qing Menjing came earlier than her. It was impossible for Xiao Chen not to get up. I walked here, Xiao Chen said with a bitter smile. Walked here? Are you serious? You don't have money? Tang Tang immediately figured out the reason. You can't be so poor just because you treated us to a buffet yesterday, can you? You don't even have money to take the bus? It's not that bad. I do have money, but I just want to save some money. Xiao Chen said, by the way, Tang Tang, do you have any way to make money? You want to make money? Tang Tang was slightly stunned. She did not expect Xiao Chen to be short of money so soon. But after thinking for a while, she said in a low voice, you don't need much money for 3 meals a day, do you? You'd better stop working and focus on your studies. A young master like you is not the kind to suffer. I can take care of breakfast and lunch for you. You can't starve yourself for dinner with Qing Menjing, can you? Xiao Chen took out the medicine bag from his pocket and waved it in front of Tang Tang. He told a white lie, I've been weak since I was a child and can't practice internal force. You know that, don't you? I have to take a lot of medicine every month, and this is a big start. If I don't make money, I'm afraid I can't afford it at all. Tang Tang suddenly realized that Xiao Chen was weak and sick since he was a child was not a secret, so she was not surprised. I see. You don't need much money to buy medicine, do you? 1,000 yuan should be enough, right? I gritted my teeth and saved a little money, and then I came out. Although Tang Tang said that she didn't care, she was calculating in her heart. From tomorrow on, she had to get up earlier and prepare more ingredients for soybean milk and deep-fried dough sticks. Otherwise, she wouldn't have much money left after deducting the rent and expenses. Xiao Chen's medical fee of 1,000 yuan really put her in a tight spot. Chapter 45. It doesn't matter. I'm not a young master. What I'm doing now is the work of a servant. Don't worry. I'm not as delicate as you think. Xiao Chen shook his head and smiled. Is there really no problem? Tang Tang just calculated that the profit from selling breakfast was not very big. After all, she couldn't set up a stall in the morning market all morning. Other people set up their stalls until 9 o'clock in the morning, but Tang Tang could only set up her stall until 7 o'clock and had to go to school. There were only 2 hours from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. No matter how busy Tang Tang was, she couldn't sell much. After all, her manpower was limited. Even if she prepared a lot of things, she couldn't sell them if she didn't have enough manpower. Therefore, under Xiao Chen's insistence, Tang Tang was also a little tempted. If Xiao Chen really came to help, not to mention that the income could be doubled, even if it was 1/3 more, Xiao Chen's 1,000 yuan would be easy. Of course not. Xiao Chen smiled and nodded. In fact, I've already thought it through. Otherwise, do you think I would be so happy every day as a servant of Miss Cheng? And with my original personality, Ma Gang Men wouldn't be like this now. I'm afraid I would have to go to the hospital for 1.5 years. Well, there is a way to make money now, but it depends on whether you can bear hardships. Tang Tang looked at Xiao Chen with some doubts. What is it? Xiao Chen was not afraid of hardships. Wasn't it hard to exercise every night for more than 10 years? But Xiao Chen also endured it. Outsiders didn't know how hard Xiao Chen could bear hardships. That's it. Tang Tang said and took out a bag from the desk, which was filled with fried dough sticks and soy milk. This? Breakfast for me? Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. Yes, from tomorrow on, go to the morning market with me to sell breakfast. Tang Tang said, now I rely on this to make money. I get up at 4:00 every morning, go to the morning market at 5:00, and come to school at 7:00. How about it? It's hard enough, right? Can you hold on? 4:00. Xiao Chen's face showed a trace of embarrassment. It wasn't that Xiao Chen couldn't get up at 4:00. On the contrary, Xiao Chen cultivated every night and didn't sleep at all. What Xiao Chen cared about was time. There wasn't much time to cultivate at night. Since he had to wake up at 4:00, Xiao Chen would have 2 hours less cultivation time than usual. But thinking about it, for the sake of earning money, it was worth it. But, how much money could he earn by selling breakfast? He probably wouldn't even earn 10,000 yuan a month, right? However, Xiao Chen had no other way to make money for the time being. He could only take it one step at a time. Although Xiao Chen was not a real playboy, he never thought about making money by himself. After all, the children of the aristocratic families thought about eating, drinking, and having fun every day, or how to cultivate internal strength. As for making money, the family business would be taken care of by the elders. It was not the time for them to think about it. To Xiao Chen's surprise, Tang Tang actually lived by selling breakfast. It seemed that Tang Tang's tuition and rent money came from her breakfast stall. Although he had been exercising every night for more than 10 years, when Xiao Chen knew that Tang Tang, who used to be a young lady, would sell soybean milk and fried dough sticks every day, he was really shocked. It turned out that he was not the only unfortunate one, Tang Tang was also. But she was very strong. It was hard for Xiao Chen to imagine that a girl would go to the morning market street to sell breakfast at 4:00 in the morning and come to school at 7:00. How are you? Can't get up? Tang Tang looked at Xiao Chen and showed an expression of, I knew it. It's not that I can't get up, but I'm afraid that the young lady at home won't be happy if I leave so early. Xiao Chen shrugged and found an excuse for his hesitation just now. After all, I'm her manservant, right? I won't say anything if you work for her for free, but you're holding up your own money. You're simply a slave owner. Why don't you resign and we work alone? Tang Tang said indignantly after listening. Pfft. Xiao Chen couldn't help but laugh. Working alone? That's not very good, right? No matter what, it was Miss Cheng who helped me transfer here. I should also be grateful, right? Forget it. Are you going or not? Tang Tang thought that Xiao Chen still liked Qing Menjing. If Xiao Chen didn't like Qing Menjing, why did he work for her for free? In any case, Xiao Chen was also a young master. When did he do such a thing? The only explanation was that Xiao Chen was infatuated, so he was willing to be Qing Menjing's manservant. Tang Tang didn't know about the past of Xiao Chen's pursuit of Shen Jingxian and Ke Lin, so she naturally misunderstood. So thinking of this, although Tang Tang felt that Xiao Chen wasn't worth it, she didn't say anything more. I'll go. Xiao Chen nodded. I'll go tomorrow. What do you need me to do? You don't have to do anything. I made the soybean milk at home. As for the fried dough sticks, I'll fry them. You learn a little. When you learn it, we'll cooperate. The faster we go, the more money we earn. Tang Tang said. Okay, where should I go to find you tomorrow morning? Asked Xiao Chen. It's the noodle shop where you took us to have a buffet yesterday. The street behind it is the morning market street. I set up my stall there every day. Tang Tang said, if you can't find me tomorrow morning, you can call me. Xiao Chen nodded and wrote down the address. Then he said, I'll be there on time tomorrow morning. Then I'll wait for you. Tang Tang smiled and said, Xiao Chen, don't let me down. Hee, I won't. Xiao Chen didn't talk about the distribution of benefits with Tang Tang, because Xiao Chen knew that Tang Tang would never treat him badly. Xiao Chen and Tang Tang's whisper was not loud, but it also attracted the attention of Jing Xiaokuan in the front row. Hey, what are you two talking about mysteriously? You're so low that I can't hear you. Jing Xiaokuan was not a cultivator. His six senses were not as strong as Xiao Chen's, so he didn't hear clearly what Xiao Chen and Tang Tang had said before. Xiao Chen said that he would sell breakfast with me tomorrow, said Tang Tang. Jing Xiaokuan was slightly stunned. He didn't expect that Xiao Chen would sell breakfast with Tang Tang. In fact, Jing Xiaokuan had always wanted to get up early to set up his stall with Tang Tang, but the Jing Family Martial Arts Club had a rule that all the disciples of the Jing family must participate in morning exercises, and Jing Xiaokuan was no exception. This also made it impossible for him to sell breakfast, so he couldn't help but feel a little envious after hearing it. I really want to play with you, but there's no way. My family has a rule that I have to get up early to exercise. Jing Xiaokuan thought that Xiao Chen didn't know about the internal energy, so he didn't say too much and just said that he had to get up early to exercise. This is not playing, it's making money. Tang Tang sighed and said, Xiao Chen is very short of money, unlike you, young Master Zheng, who has food and drink at home. Jing Xiaokuan smiled bitterly. Sometimes he was very envious of Xiao Chen. Being poor also had its advantages. Although he and Tang Tang were also best friends, he always felt that there was something missing between them. In the past, before Tang Tang became what she was now, she was still Yu Xiaochuan's fiancée. At that time, Jing Xiaokuan felt that Tang Tang was unattainable in his eyes. Although the Jing family was also one of the aristocratic families, there was a big gap between them and the Tang family. Later, the Jing family was replaced by the Lu family, and Jing Xiaokuan felt that the gap between his and Tang Tang's identity was too big. However, when Tang Tang became fat, the marriage was broken off by the Yu family, and she left the Tang family. Jing Xiaokuan sadly found that there seemed to be a barrier between him and Tang Tang. Tang Tang became ordinary and had to run around every day to make money. In Tang Tang's eyes, he became a young master. In fact, Jing Xiaokuan didn't want to be a young master. He would rather be like Xiao Chen, an ordinary poor student. With a sigh, Jing Xiaokuan said with a smile, First of all, I wish you a great fortune. I will definitely go to support you when I have time. However, before that, you must bring me some fried dough sticks and soy milk that you can't sell every day. Of course, no problem. I'm a foodie. Tang Tang laughed. In fact, how could Tang Tang not see Jing Xiaokuan's feelings? However, she was Yu Xiaochuan's fiancée before, so she didn't think in this direction at all. Although the two were classmates since childhood and could be regarded as childhood sweethearts, Tang Tang was engaged and only regarded Jing Xiaokuan as a brother. Now, Yu Xiaochuan broke off the engagement, and Tang Tang became ugly. Although she was free, it was difficult for Tang Tang to regard Jing Xiaokuan as a brother again. Moreover, she didn't think that the Jing family could marry her as a daughter-in-law. Jing Xiaokuan could only shrug helplessly. Although he was smiling, his smile was full of helplessness. However, sometimes he also thought that even if Tang Tang was not engaged now, his father would certainly not accept her. Tang Tang's entangled relationship with the Yu family, as well as Tang Tang's current identity that was neither high nor low, had become an obstacle to this marriage. Although the Zheng family was not an aristocratic family now, it had not been hurt to the core. It was the time to recuperate. What the Jing family needed was a beneficial marriage that could bring the Jing family back to glory, not a marriage like Tang Tang's, which had little to do with the Tang family. Of course, with Jing Xiaoquan's character, if he forced her to do so, the Jing family would have to agree. After all, Tang Tang was not a girl from an ordinary family. Even if she nominally broke off the relationship with the Tang family, it was impossible to let her go. However, at that point, the Jing family's situation would be even more difficult. This was not what Jing Xiaoquan wanted to see, unless his strength improved by leaps and bounds, reached the third stage of the inner force, and became the leader of the younger generation. If he set foot in the third stage of the inner force before the age of 20, he would have the opportunity to be apprenticed to a master. Once he was chosen by those masters, his future would be meteoric. The first to the third stage of the inner force was the cultivation of the foundation. At this time, no body-strengthening elixir was allowed. Once used, it would not reflect the martial artist's own qualifications. Those masters could also see if a person used elixir during cultivation. If he used elixir, then he would be directly eliminated. Chapter 46. That was also the reason why it was not easy to cultivate the first 3 levels of internal force. Those who could cultivate internal force hoped to cultivate to the 3rd level of internal force before the age of 20. In this way, they would embark on the road of glory. Once they succeeded in cultivating, they would be valued by the family or sect where the senior was from. Their future would be even more limitless. Even if they could not meet the requirements, they would be martial artists at the 7th, 8th, or even 9th level of internal force when they came back. Just like Xiao Feng and Qing Zhongming in those days, they had learned from one master, and now they were all first-class martial artists when they came back. Jing Xiaoquan also had this goal. First, it was for the Jing family, and second, it was for himself and Tang Tang. As long as he was valued by those masters and seniors, the Jing family would be able to regain its glory after he came back. The day passed by uneventfully. Miss Su and Jean Bebe drove away, and Xiao Chen, Tang Tang, and Jing Xiaoquan walked out of the school gate together. Xiao Chen, don't forget our agreement. I'll meet you at the morning market street at 5:00 tomorrow morning. If you don't go, don't blame me for looking down on you. Tang Tang waved at Xiao Chen. Don't worry, I'll definitely go. Xiao Chen nodded and waved at Jing Xiaoquan. Xiaoquan, I'll bring you breakfast tomorrow. Okay. Jing Xiaoquan smiled, but his heart was full of bitterness. However, there were some things that could not be forced. Damn it. Looking at Xiao Chen's back, Lu Zhenming's eyes were full of displeasure and unwillingness. How could he just let this guy go like this? Watching him swagger away, Lu Zhenming felt that it was a kind of mockery of him, a mockery of his ability. If I don't kill this guy, I'll feel uncomfortable when I see him. If this goes on, I'll have a heart attack. What's wrong, Lu Zi? You're cooked. Yu Xiaoquan's voice rang out. Seeing Lu Zhenming's red face, which was like a cooked pig head, Yu Xiaoquan walked over and asked. Young Master Yu, don't mention it, isn't it because of that country bumpkin Xiao Chen? Yesterday, I sent out a fugitive to kill him. In the end, before he could even see Xiao Chen, he was already killed by a busybody inner force expert who acted bravely for a just cause. Lu Zhenming's voice was full of unwillingness. As he spoke, he told Yu Xiaoquan about what happened yesterday. There was no need to hide this kind of thing. Yu Xiaoquan could probably investigate it himself. What the hell? Is that even possible? Yu Xiaoquan was shocked after hearing this. He secretly thought that Lu Zhenming was really unlucky. He could even die like this. Lu, since you can't do it, do you want me to help you? Lu Zhenming was slightly stunned, and then he was overjoyed. Yes, he couldn't do anything to Xiao Chen because of the rules of the underworld, but it didn't mean that others couldn't. If Yu Xiaoquan wanted to do something to Xiao Chen, it was Yu Xiaoquan's business. It had nothing to do with Lu Zhenming. Okay, young Master Yu, if you help me kill this Xiao Chen, I will be at your beck and call in the future. I can't kill him. If he provokes me, I can teach him a lesson. But if I kill him, others will say that I'm narrow-minded. Yu Shaochuan waved his hand and said, "Okay, you don't have to worry about this. Let me think about how to do it first." "Okay, thank you, young master Yu." Lu Zhenming watched Yu Shaochuan leave and spat on the ground with disdain. Damn, a whore still wants to have a chastity. What a hypocrite. But it's good to teach Shaochuan a lesson. At least it can calm the hatred in my heart. Yu Shaochuan was actually a hypocrite. He did bad things, but he didn't want others to say it. This was the style of the Yu family. It was said that Yu Shaochuan worshipped Yu Buchuan in the smiling, proud wanderer since he was a child. He took him as his idol and wanted to become someone like Yu Buchuan one day. And his previous name was not Yu Shaochuan, but Yu Shaoxing X. As for what his name was, not many people knew. When he was very young, he changed his name to Yu Shaochuan, which meant that he was the juvenile version of Yu Buchuan. The reason why Yu Shaochuan helped Lu Zhenming was not because he had a grudge with Shao Chen, but because he wanted to rope in Lu Zhenming. He would be in charge of the Yu family in the future. At that time, if Lu Zhenming was his underling and also supported him, then the Yu family's influence in the other families would rise. Shao Chen still didn't take a car. Instead, he ran in the direction of the villa area. Yesterday, he met two pursuers. Today, he probably wouldn't be so unlucky to meet them again. As expected, nothing happened along the way. When he passed by the pharmacy that morning, Shao Chen subconsciously stopped in his tracks and took a look inside. In the end, he saw Hong Yan's elegant figure. She was currently sitting behind the counter, quietly reading a book. She was filled with a classical beauty, just like a lady from a wealthy family in ancient times. However, just as Shao Chen was looking at Hong Yan suddenly raised her head and looked outside the window of the pharmacy. She also saw Shao Chen and smiled at him. It was as if his peeping had been discovered. This made Shao Chen a little ashamed. Fortunately, Shao Chen's skin was thick after all these years. Even a machine gun couldn't penetrate it. He also smiled at Hong Yan, then waved his hand and left the pharmacy. Hong Yan blinked her eyes and put down the book in her hand. The impression that Shao Chen gave her was very special. Although this boy also liked her beauty, and although he didn't hide it, it didn't make people feel disgusted. In comparison, the so-called young talents that she met in the past made Hong Yan feel that they were especially hypocritical. "Miss Yan, don't get too close to this person, but don't deliberately alienate him." At this time, Grandpa Chen's voice sounded behind Hong Yan. Hong Yan's face slightly blushed. She was startled by Grandpa Chen's words. She was a little embarrassed. "Grandpa Chen, I just feel that he is very special." "It is special. It is because he is special that we shouldn't get too close to him. The level that we are in is already very high. However, in this world, there is still a level of people that we can't afford to offend. Normally, we also won't interact with them." Grandpa Chen said seriously. "Ah. What level is that?" Hong Yan was slightly stunned and asked. "I also don't know. It is just a legend." Grandpa Chen said, "However, Miss Yan might be able to come into contact with it in the future. This old man is only your first teacher. I still can't come into contact with those things." After listening to Grandpa Chen's words, Hong Yan was a little lost in thought. No matter how she looked at it, Shao Chen was a student. What kind of special identity would he have? Shao Chen left the pharmacy. When he passed by the convenience store, he went to buy a few packets of instant noodles and some small side dishes like braised eggs. Then, he quickly ran home. Today, not long after Qing Menjing arrived home, she saw that Shao Chen had returned. She looked at the time and remembered that Shao Chen came back nearly an hour later than today. She suddenly became a little unhappy. "Shao Chen, where did you go yesterday? You also bought instant noodles today. Why did you come back so soon?" "I say, miss, yesterday I was bargaining with someone. After dawdling for an hour, they only gave me 30 cents. Today, because I am a repeat customer, they automatically gave me 30 cents. Xiao Chen said with a bitter face. Thinking that the money in his pocket was getting less and less, Xiao Chen suddenly had an idea and came up with such an excuse. Yesterday, you delayed for an hour just to save 30 cents? Qing Menjing felt a little unbelievable. Of course, I say, miss, you also know how poor I am now. I don't have an income, but I can't just sit around and eat. Xiao Chen spread his hands and said, even instant noodles are not cheap. These things every day cost 30 to 40 yuan. You only gave me 100 yuan. Don't mention taking a taxi, I even saved the bus fare. I walked back on foot, pooh. Qing Menjing looked at Xiao Chen's miserable appearance and couldn't help but laugh. Really? Are you exaggerating as much as you say? You actually walked back? Yes, I am. Xiao Chen sighed and said, this convenience store is between the school and the villa area. I can't buy it even if I take a taxi. Are you really Xiao Chen, Xiao Chen? Qing Menjing stopped laughing and finally believed Xiao Chen's words. Where is the 10,000 yuan that Jingxian gave you? In case of emergency. Xiao Chen couldn't say that he bought the medicine. He could lie to Tang Tang, but he couldn't lie to Mississippi. As the former fiancé of Miss, some of his common information was probably already on Miss's desk. She knew clearly whether he took the medicine regularly or not. Moreover, although Miss was on his side, she was a member of the Qing family after all. It was not that Miss would betray him, but he was afraid that Miss would be tricked by the elders of the family because of her simple character. If that happened, it would be in vain. Miser. Miss rolled her eyes at Xiao Chen and said, from tomorrow on, I will increase your food expenses by 50 yuan. You don't have to pay for it. 50. All right. Xiao Chen sighed and thought to himself, you're the one who's a miser. But it's better than nothing. Looking at Xiao Chen's discontented look, Qing Menjing was a little angry. If it were not for fear that the Qing family would find out that she gave Xiao Chen money, she would give Xiao Chen 100,000 yuan, so what? But she brought Xiao Chen to the villa as a servant to torture Xiao Chen, not to give him money to enjoy. Qing Menjing didn't believe that the Qing family would not investigate. If Xiao Chen was well-fed and had a good life, then Xiao Chen would not have a few good days. Here, this is for today and tomorrow's bus fare. Qing Menjing opened her wallet, took out 200 yuan bills, and handed them to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen took it and put it in his pocket without standing on ceremony. Then, he said, there's one more thing. I might have to leave early tomorrow morning. However, I'll put the instant noodles in the lunchbox, add the seasoning, and boil the hot water. You can just make it in the morning. What are you going to do? Qing Menjing was slightly surprised. I am going to sell breakfast and earn some extra money. Xiao Chen smiled. You? To sell breakfast? Qing Menjing was scared by Xiao Chen. Where are you going to sell it? There is a morning market street near the school. I am going to buy fried dough sticks and soy milk there. Xiao Chen said. You are going by yourself? Qing Menjing didn't expect that Xiao Chen would make such a request, and it was a little difficult for her to respond for a while. No, Tang Tang has been there for a long time. I am going to help. Don't worry. Xiao Chen said. As soon as she heard the two words, Tang Tang, she didn't know why she was inexplicably angry. She stood up with her hands on her waist and stared at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen, are you going to rebel? It's not like I'm not giving you money. Why are you selling breakfast? Don't you know that you are my exclusive servant? Chapter 47. Xiao Chen didn't know why Qing Menjing suddenly got angry. He was a little puzzled, but she was the first Mississippi. After a moment of silence, Xiao Chen said, well, I'll go at 4 o'clock and come back at 7 o'clock to cook for you. I won't be late, you. Qing Menjing was even more annoyed by Xiao Chen's answer. She was not an unreasonable person. Go out at 4 o'clock and come back at 7 o'clock? However, she didn't know how to refute him. At this moment, the first Miss missed Jean Bebe a little. If this little devil was here, she should have a way to deal with Xiao Chen, right? Now, she could only stamp her feet and snort, "Do whatever you want. You don't have to come back. I'm not that delicate. However, you've delayed my meal. 50 yuan will be deducted from your food expenses. From the day after tomorrow, I won't pay you anymore." After being deducted 50 yuan by the first miss, Xiao Chen could only smile bitterly. He shook his head and walked into the kitchen to boil some instant noodles. Yi Xiaoye was still preparing the medicine in the kitchen. However, it was obvious that she didn't intend to boil it in the kitchen. She would take it upstairs after setting the proportion and filling the water. Seeing Yi Xiaoye, Xiao Chen suddenly remembered that he still needed her help, so he said to her, "Yi Xiaoye, can you lend me your electric clay pot? What are you going to do with it?" Yi Xiaoye looked at Xiao Chen strangely. "I'm also going to boil medicine," Xiao Chen said. There would be a smell of medicine when boiling medicine. Even if one was locked in a room, there would be a slight smell. This couldn't be deceived. Of course, Xiao Chen wouldn't say that he was going to use it for cultivation. He just said, "I haven't been feeling well recently, so I bought some medicine." "No." Yi Xiaoye looked at Xiao Chen strangely and shook her head coldly. "I have money to buy it. I don't need yours." Xiao Chen smiled bitterly and said, "I'm just going to use it once." Xiao Chen had the 200 yuan that the first miss just gave him in his pocket. Together with the money he had before, he could buy an electric clay pot. "Don't you know that medicinal materials can't be mixed and boiled? My clay pot has boiled my medicinal materials. If I boil your medicine, there will be problems. That's not good for both of us." Yi Xiaoye explained, "My herbs are priceless, and each set is expensive. You won't be able to pay for it if you break it." But Yi Xiaoye didn't lie. "My medicinal materials are very expensive. You can't afford it. You can't afford it." Xiao Chen said. Xiao Chen said. Xiao Chen said, Xiao Chen. You Xiao Chen dozens. "Well, I'm sorry. I don't know about this. I'll buy one myself." Xiao Chen could only postpone the plan for another day. "I still have a new one that I haven't used. You can use it. You buy the same one and give it back to me." Yi Xiaoye looked at Xiao Chen and said lightly, "Thank you." Xiao Chen said gratefully. He didn't expect Yi Xiaoye to lend it to him. "It's nothing." After Yi Xiaoye mixed her medicinal materials, she took the clay pot upstairs and said, "Come with me." Xiao Chen followed Yi Xiaoye upstairs. Qing Menjing looked at Xiao Chen with a strange expression. She heard the conversation between Xiao Chen and Yi Xiaoye in the kitchen. She was just puzzled. Why is Xiao Chen not feeling well? Is it because he is tired of walking to and from school every day? Was she being too harsh on him? Thinking of this, Qing Menjing felt a little ashamed in her heart, but she suddenly changed her mind. Something is wrong. That day in the gym, Xiao Chen was very vigorous. His body looked good. He beat Ma Gangmen until he was looking for his teeth on the ground. It didn't seem like there was a problem with his body at all. Is he using the electric clay pot for other things? The miss subconsciously opened the backpack that Xiao Chen threw on the sofa when he came back. She rummaged in it and really found a bag of medicinal materials. This time, it seems that Xiao Chen is really going to boil the medicine. Is he really not feeling well? Qing Menjing wanted to care about it, but she gave up after thinking about it. She didn't want Xiao Chen to misunderstand that she still liked him. No, she had never liked him at all. Xiao Chen followed Yi Xiaoye to the door of her room. Xiao Chen was about to follow, but he saw Yi Xiaoye turn around and say to Xiao Chen, "Don't come over. Just stand here and wait for me." Obviously, Yi Xiaoye didn't want Xiao Chen to see her room, so she asked Xiao Chen to stop. However, Xiao Chen wasn't a voyeur. Although he was curious about Yi Xiaoye's room, he still stood in place. Yi Xiaoye entered the room and closed the door. After a while, she came out with a paper box and handed it to Xiao Chen. Here, remember the model and brand. I want the same. Thank you. Xiaochen took the paper box, but when he saw the price tag on the paper box, his mouth suddenly twitched twice. Motherf *Ker, 999 yuan. In the past, when Xiaochen saw the slogan of 999 yuan on the TV shopping, Xiaochen thought that what good things could he buy with 999 yuan. But now, 999 yuan was a sky-high price for Xiaochen. My herbs have very high requirements for the temperature and material of the clay pot. Only this kind of clay pot can do it. The other ones aren't good and waste the herbs. Yi Xiaoye seemed to see through Xiaochen's mind. She explained, of course, you don't have to use it. Tomorrow, you can buy a cheaper one. At the farmer's market, you might not even need it 99%. Xiaochen's heart was slightly shocked. Luckily, I spoke too much and borrowed an electric clay pot from Yi Xiaoye. If I blindly buy one, wouldn't I be blind to my herbs? One had to know that his medicinal ingredients were also very precious and had great uses. Thinking of this, Xiaochen quickly said, when I earn enough money, I will return it to you. Qing Menjing doesn't give you a salary? Yi Xiaoye nodded and asked casually. No. Our relationship is more complicated. It's not easy to explain in a few words. Xiaochen shrugged. Oh. Yi Xiaoye apparently didn't want to get to the bottom of it, but she seemed to have some contempt for Xiaochen. She responded and didn't say anything. She turned around and went back to the room. Xiaochen took the electric clay pot downstairs. When he saw that his backpack was opened, he was slightly surprised. As for the missy, she didn't mean to be sneaky at all. Why did you buy medicine? Is there really something wrong with your body? Although Qing Menjing thought it was a bit unbelievable, it was true that Xiaochen bought medicinal herbs and borrowed the electric clay pot, so Qing Menjing was a little puzzled. She finally couldn't help but ask. It's not a big deal. During this period of time, I have great joy and sorrow. It's an emotional problem. These medicines soothe the liver and the stomach. Xiaochen explained casually. Oh. Qing Menjing nodded. I thought you adapted well. There is a process to adapt. Xiaochen said with a smile. I'm starving. When are you going to make instant noodles? Asked Qing Menjing. The water is boiled. I'm going to get it now. Xiaochen turned and walked to the kitchen. His heart was warm. The missy and Yi Xiaoye's personalities were somewhat similar. They were cold on the outside but warm on the inside, and they both had a bit of a missy's temper. Yi Xiaoye treated Xiaochen well. The missy also quietly cared about him, which made Xiaochen feel that his current life was not bad. After making the instant noodles, Xiaochen put it on the dining table and asked Qing Menjing to eat the noodles. Qing Menjing put down the TV remote control in her hand. She tidied the hair on her forehead, tied it up, and pinned it on a hair clip. This was the first time Xiaochen saw a missy without bangs. At the moment, Qing Menjing looked a little lazy and casual. It turned out that the goddess was also an ordinary person in her daily life. What are you looking at? Have you never seen a beauty before? Qing Menjing felt that Xiaochen was staring at her. She felt a little uncomfortable being stared at. Xiaochen shifted his gaze and smiled. I realized that it was a mistake for me not to pursue you before. Humph. It's too late now. Although Qing Menjing said so, she was quite happy in her heart. She didn't know why Qing Menjing cared about Xiaochen's affirmation. Was it because he was her ex-fiancé? Of course. Shen Jingxian and Ke Lin aren't bad either. Xiaochen said. Playboy. Qing Menjing was just a little happy, but after listening to Xiaochen's words, she became angry again. Do you think you're the head of the Xiao family? You still want to have multiple wives and concubines? Even the head of an aristocratic family doesn't dare to marry me or Jingxian as a concubine. Hee hee. Xiaochen smiled. It was indeed like this. In an aristocratic family, although some men would have concubines in addition to the main wife, the concubines were usually ordinary people. It was impossible for them to be the missy of an aristocratic family. Mine doesn't taste good. I'll give it to you. Qing Menjing ate 2 mouthfuls of the instant noodles in the lunchbox and found that the taste was not to her taste. It was sweet and spicy. She didn't like it, so she directly exchanged the beef-flavored instant noodles that Xiao Chen hadn't eaten yet. Xiao Chen was a little speechless. He pointed at the instant noodles that the missy had eaten and said, "Is this considered taking advantage of you? I'll reluctantly let you take advantage of me." Qing Menjing went back yesterday and thought about it. In fact, what Yi Xiaoya said was also right. If this was considered as an indirect kiss, then was staying in the hotel considered as an indirect bed? Xiao Chen looked at Qing Menjing's appearance. It didn't seem like she was taken advantage of at all. She ate with relish. He was speechless. He picked up the chopsticks and ate the sweet and spicy noodles that the missy had eaten that night. It really wasn't delicious. I won't buy this flavor next time. Xiao Chen thought. With the missy's saliva, Xiao Chen finished eating and went to wash the dishes. He didn't have any dirty thoughts in his heart. He had a good position for himself. Now it was unrealistic to flirt with Missy, so Xiao Chen simply didn't think about these things. After dinner, Missy continued to watch TV. Xiao Chen went back to his room to brew medicine. Brewing medicine in the room, Xiao Chen finally imagined how painful Yi Xiaoya was. The room was filled with a strong smell of medicine. Even if the window was opened, the smell wouldn't disperse for a long time. Moreover, according to the prescription of Elder Heaven Ancestor, this medicine needed to be brewed for 5 hours. One medicine could be brewed 3 times. In other words, Xiao Chen had to endure for 5 hours every day. Chapter 48. Fortunately, for the sake of strength, Xiao Chen could endure anything. After spending 5 hours in cultivation, the body-tempering potion was successfully brewed. Elder Heaven Ancestor, should I take it now? Xiao Chen heard the alarm of the electric clay pot, so he asked. This high-end electric clay pot was good. Not only could he set the temperature, but he could also set the time. There was no need to worry that it would run out of time. You can take it, but after taking it, you need to exercise your body and completely absorb the potency. Elder Heaven Ancestor said. Exercise? Don't I practice every day? Xiao Chen asked as he unplugged the electric clay pot and poured the potion inside into the bowl. Exercise is different from cultivation. Cultivation is to regulate breath, absorb the spirit of heaven and earth, and transform the essence of the sun and moon into yuan qi in the body. But exercise is to exercise the body, which is the so-called martial artist's cultivation method. Elder Heaven Ancestor said. Oh. That is to say, I need to exercise in order to fully exert the potency of the potency? Xiao Chen asked. Yes. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, you will exercise the way you used to exercise. I don't need to tell you these things, right? I understand. Xiao Chen picked up the bowl of medicine and drank every single drop of the medicine into his stomach. Then, he began to train his body just like how he trained his inner strength in the past. Before practicing inner strength, there was a set of body movements. Xiao Chen had practiced this set of body movements for more than 10 years. Although there was no progress, Xiao Chen still practiced for more than 10 years. Now, he was very familiar with it. After drinking the potion, Xiao Chen began to dance in the room. It was inevitable to make noise when practicing. In the past, Xiao Chen was in the basement of his room, so it wouldn't affect others, but it was different in the villa. The sound of banging suddenly attracted the attention of the missy who was watching TV outside. Qing Menjing was disturbed by the sound of Xiao Chen. She directly pushed the door into Xiao Chen's room. When she saw Xiao Chen exercising, she couldn't help but be slightly surprised. She wanted to scold Xiao Chen for not disturbing her watching TV, but when she saw Xiao Chen exercising, Qing Menjing couldn't help but feel sad. Now, Qing Menjing finally understood why Xiao Chen had the strength to defeat Mengmen. It turned out that Xiao Chen was exercising in his spare time. Qing Menjing was very familiar with this set of body movements because Qing Menjing had also practiced it. Seeing that Xiao Chen was very familiar with this set of body movements, Qing Menjing understood how hard Xiao Chen worked when there was no one around. It wasn't his fault that he couldn't practice inner strength. He had been working hard and never gave up. Qing Menjing thought, if I knew Xiao Chen was like this before, would I like him? Thinking of this, Qing Menjing couldn't help but shake her head. There was no if. It was impossible for me and Xiao Chen. It was meaningless to think about these things. Did you exercise every day before? Qing Menjing couldn't help but ask. That's all. Xiao Chen smiled and said, I was sweating after drinking the medicine just now, so I exercised a little. Oh. Qing Menjing didn't believe Xiao Chen's words, but she didn't expose him. She probably guessed that Xiao Chen wanted to be low-key, or Xiao Chen cared more about his face. After practicing for so many years, it was really shameful that he couldn't practice inner strength. So the miss didn't say anything. She closed the door and sat back on the sofa in the living room. After a few days of getting along, Qing Menjing's impression of Xiao Chen had changed greatly. The Xiao Chen that she saw next to her and the Xiao Chen that she heard before seemed to be two different people. Qing Menjing really couldn't imagine that Xiao Chen could walk to and from school just to save money. It was also hard to imagine that Xiao Chen actually haggled with the convenience store owner for an hour for a few cents. It was even harder to imagine that Xiao Chen actually wanted to go to the morning market to sell breakfast. Shaking her head, Qing Menjing didn't know who to believe was the real Xiao Chen, but Qing Menjing still understood the truth of seeing is believing. Rumors were rumors after all. What she saw was the truth. After continuously exercising for an hour, Xiao Chen could feel the meridians all over his body were warm. The medicine had spread throughout his body, giving Xiao Chen an indescribable warmth. He felt that his body seemed to be a lot lighter, and his meridians were more robust. What surprised Xiao Chen the most was that on his body, there was a thick layer of sweat that looked like black oil, with a fishy smell. Could it be that this was the legendary bone marrow cleansing? In the past, Xiao Chen had only heard of similar scenes in legends, but in his understanding, the people in his family didn't seem to use this kind of bone marrow cleansing to temper the body. Was it because they didn't know, or that martial artists didn't need to temper the body? These were things that Xiao Chen didn't know. After all, he wasn't a martial artist. His understanding of martial artists was only superficial. He wasn't even a level 1 inner force martial artist, so he didn't understand the world of martial artists at all. Elder Heaven Ancestor, is this the waste excreted from my body? Xiao Chen couldn't help but ask. Yes, it is. Now you can take a bath. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, this process, 3 days is a course of treatment, a total of 5 courses of treatment, and the first body tempering is completed. What you should think about now is how to make money to buy the remaining 4 sets of medicinal herbs. Thinking about the money to buy the medicinal herbs, Xiao Chen was a little depressed. With the meager income from selling breakfast, it was extremely difficult to collect the full price of 50,000 yuan for 1 set of medicinal herbs. Even with a discount price of 10,000 yuan, it was extremely difficult. However, Xiao Chen really didn't want to ask for it from Qing Zhongming. Although he could ask for it, Xiao Chen didn't want to reveal his purpose and strength too early. Moreover, there should be a lot of people watching Qing Zhongming. At least the Qing family wasn't a monolithic block. If Qing Zhongming could make the decision, he wouldn't have been kicked out of the Xiao family. Therefore, he had to be careful. After taking a hot bath, Xiao Chen lay on the bed to rest. Without completing the body tempering process, Xiao Chen couldn't continue to cultivate. The 3rd level of the qi refinement stage was still far away, which made Xiao Chen a little anxious. The current situation had reached a certain degree of urgency. If Xiao Chen didn't have the strength to protect himself, it was very likely that he would die under the next wave of enemies' attack. Xiao Chen rolled out of the bed in a daze until 3:00 in the morning. After a simple wash, he went out of the room and went to the kitchen. He filled the electric kettle with water, plugged it in, set it to boil, and then put the instant noodles into a lunchbox. After adding seasoning, Xiao remembered that Miss didn't like to eat dried vegetable buns, so he put it aside. After doing all this, Xiao braved the darkness, left the villa, and quickly ran in the direction of the morning market street. At this moment, there was no bus, and Xiao couldn't afford a taxi, so he could only walk. Fortunately, after entering the second level of the Qi refinement stage, Xiao physical strength and endurance were much better than before. It should be known that a level 2 inner force warrior was not a joke. It was equivalent to the explosive force of an ordinary person, which was twice the explosive force of an ordinary person. At this moment, Xiao was much stronger than Xiao when he ran back from Songlong Mountain on foot. When Xiao ran to the morning market street, it was close to 4:00 in the morning, and the sky was gradually getting brighter. On the morning market street, all kinds of peddlers began to set up their stalls. Some sold vegetables and fruits, some sold chicken, duck, fish, eggs, and miscellaneous small goods. There were also some swindlers who sold dog meat with sheep's heads, such as satellite receivers that could receive hundreds of TV stations, magical detergents, mosquito repellents, and dog scares. Soon, in the stalls selling breakfast, Xiao saw the chubby figure of Tang Tang. She was riding a tricycle alone, moving down the oil pan, gas tank, and noodle table from the tricycle one by one, and placing them in an open space. Xiao quickly ran to help, and grabbed the gas tank from Tang Tang's hand. Xiao. So early? Tang Tang was a little surprised to see Xiao. She told Xiao to come at 4:00 yesterday, but in fact, she wanted Xiao to get up at 4:00. She didn't expect that Xiao had arrived before 4:00. Thinking about the villa area where Xiao lived, which was not close to here, he should get up at least at 3:00. How did you get here? Jogging. Xiao set up the gas tank and helped Tang Tang set up the noodle table. He didn't know how to do other things, but he was good at manual work. Jogging? Tang Tang was a little shocked. She had thought that Xiao adaptability was strong enough, but she didn't expect that he could run to sell breakfast so early in the morning. Even she didn't have such perseverance, did she? I don't have a car, and I can't call a taxi. I can't earn enough money. Xiao spread out his hands and said, "Don't look at me like that. I usually run back after school every night. I'm used to it, and I'll save as much as I can. Xiao, I admire you a little now. You are a real man." Tang Tang said with a sigh. Puff. A real man? It sounds like the name of a health product. If you weren't my buddy, your words would really be misunderstood. Xiao joked. In front of Tang Tang, Xiao was very open and had no pressure. Yes, we are buddies. Tang Tang nodded, pointed to the oil barrel in the car and said, "Help me pour the oil." Okay. Xiao picked up the oil barrel with one arm and began to pour oil into the oil pan. The oil barrel was made of iron, and the soybean oil in it weighed 100 pounds. Xiao lifted it with one arm without any effort, which made Tang Tang a little surprised. I didn't expect that your arm strength is so strong. If I said that I practiced on the plane, would you believe me? Xiao laughed. Facing Qing Menjing's photo? Tang Tang was really a tough woman. She could even answer such a question. Ahem. How is that possible? Xiao coughed twice. It's better to show your photo. Your taste is really heavy. Tang Tang naturally didn't believe it. She pouted, but she wasn't angry. Chapter 49. After the oil pan was set up, it was preheated on the side. Tang Tang began to knead the dough skillfully, and then made the dough into the shape of fried dough sticks. She said to Xiao, "Do you understand? The process of kneading the dough is not difficult. You learn it first. The main thing is the heat of frying. I'll do it. We'll talk about it when you're proficient." Okay. Xiao was now a cultivator, and his six senses had been greatly improved. It was easy for him to remember Tang Tang's kneading steps. When Tang Tang began to fry the first batch of fried dough sticks, Xiaochen began to knead the dough. At the beginning of kneading the dough, Xiaochen tried his best to do it according to Tang Tang's method. But after Xiaochen kneaded the dough a few times, he unexpectedly found that he seemed to have a spiritual communication with the dough in his hand. This situation was very mysterious. In short, Xiaochen could feel the dough in his hand and how to knead it best. This made Xiaochen shocked. He thought it was his illusion. But looking at the dough in his hand, it was more plump than Tang Tang's, and the shape of the fried dough sticks was also very uniform, which made Xiaochen very surprised. Elder Heaven Ancestor, is this the ability of a cultivator? Xiaochen recovered from his shock. He immediately thought of the fact that his six senses had been enhanced, so he quickly asked. Of course, but it's the first time I've seen someone cook with the ability of a cultivator. Elder Heaven Ancestor said teasingly, cultivators are extremely high-end existences. Who would have nothing to do to cook? I'm forced to do this. Xiaochen was thick-skinned. By the way, so I have a talent for cooking? It's not that you have a talent for cooking. It's that your ability to accept new things is much stronger than ordinary people. Because your six senses are strong, you can perceive the changes in food very well, and it's the same for other things. Elder Heaven Ancestor explained. I see. Xiaochen didn't think there was anything wrong with his cooking. On the contrary, he was quite happy. Originally, he thought he would have to learn for a few days before he could master it. After all, he had never done it before. But now it seemed that he could cook better than Tang Tang. Did you do this? Tang Tang looked at Xiaochen incredulously, her eyes almost popping out. Did you knead this dough? Did you make these deep-fried dough sticks? Yeah. Xiaochen nodded. Xiaochen, don't tell me that you used to be a stall owner. Tang Tang threw the fried dough sticks made by Xiaochen into the frying pan. The fried dough sticks were plump and uniform. Tang Tang's craftsmanship was good, but it was just practice makes perfect. Plus, she was more hard-working, so the fried dough sticks she made were the best-selling ones in the morning market. However, when Xiaochen's fried dough sticks came out of the frying pan, there were obviously more people waiting in line. There was no other reason. The deep-fried dough sticks were too tempting, and they looked good. Not only that, but Xiaochen's speed of making it was also fast. After all, Xiaochen was now equivalent to a second-level inner force warrior. His strength was greater than Tang Tang's, which greatly reduced the kneading time. Coupled with the perception of divine sense, Xiaochen avoided detours and repeated kneading steps when kneading the dough, so he had a great advantage in speed. Looking at Xiaochen's hands constantly producing deep-fried dough sticks, Tang Tang and her customers were shocked. Isn't this speed a little too fast? Xiaochen's speed was fast, and Tang Tang's speed was also fast. After all, Tang Tang's frying pan was relatively large. In the past, Tang Tang kneaded the dough and fried the deep-fried dough sticks by herself, so the speed was naturally slow. But today, Xiaochen kneaded the dough and Tang Tang fried the deep-fried dough sticks. The speed naturally increased, but even so, it was still in short supply. It was true that today's deep-fried dough sticks were exceptionally good, but there was often a phenomenon in the market that the stall with more people would have more and more people. Everyone liked to join in the fun. When they saw that there was a queue for something, they would go to see what it was. This was also the reason why Tang Tang's breakfast stall had a long queue. Tang Tang originally held the idea of helping Xiaochen. Even if he couldn't help, he planned to give a part of the profit to Xiaochen. But now it seemed that it was a wise move to pull Xiaochen into the group. In just a short time, the number of deep-fried dough sticks sold was equivalent to the number of the usual morning. It was just that the deep-fried dough sticks needed to be leavened. Tang Tang didn't make so many noodles last night, so the leavened noodles she prepared were sold out quickly, and the customers were still queuing up. I'm sorry, everyone. The noodles are sold out. I will prepare more tomorrow. If you didn't buy it, you can come back tomorrow. Tang Tang saw that there were still so many people queuing up, so she quickly cupped her fist and said to these customers. These people saw that Tang Tang's breakfast stall was sold out. Although they were somewhat unwilling, they still went to other breakfast stalls. Tang Tang and Xiao Chen had already begun to close the stall. Well done, Xiao Chen. I didn't know that you have this kind of talent. Tang Tang was surprised and delighted. In the past, the leaven noodles she prepared every morning were usually sold out. The rest, in addition to the breakfast she brought for Xiao Chen and Jing Xiaoquan, were given to the old lady in a nearby grocery store who helped her store the car and equipment. But she didn't expect that it was only 6 o'clock today, and everything was sold out. How much money did you make? Asked Xiao Chen. Excluding the cost, I can make more than 200 yuan of profit. Today is the day with the most profit. In the past, it was good to make 150 yuan. Tang Tang's face was full of satisfaction. Looking at her, it seemed that she was not the fair, rich and beautiful girl she used to be. Not bad. Xiao Chen was not like the previous Xiao Chen, who was happy to make money. He also knew that some things couldn't be rushed. At present, he could make as much money as he could. It was useless to be anxious. Xiao Chen helped Tang Tang to ride the tricycle, and Tang Tang sat in the back of the car. It was quite like those couples on the street. Generally, the couples who did small business were this combination. The husband pedaled in front, and the wife sat in the car. They went to the stall together and closed the stall together. When they came to the grocery store where Tang Tang usually stored the tricycle and equipment, the old lady of the grocery store had just opened. Seeing Tang Tang, she smiled and greeted her. Tang Tang, why did you close the stall so early today? Today there is one more person, so the sale is faster. It was sold out at 6 o'clock. Tang Tang pointed to Xiao Chen and said, but there is no more left, auntie. There is no more left for you. It doesn't matter. I'm alone and can't eat much. If you give me some, I'll steam some steamed buns to eat. If not, I'll eat something else. I can't even use the money I earn from the grocery store. That's right. The auntie waved her hand and said with a smile, I'm happy that you can earn more money. Seeing a girl like you setting up a stall early in the morning, I'm heartbroken. Now that you have a boyfriend, I can help you. Tang Tang, a girl, was a little shy because of the old lady's words. When she was about to explain, the old lady continued. Young man, Tang Tang is a good girl. Although she is a little fat, she is honest, knows how to live, and can bear hardships. The old lady turned to Xiao Chen and said earnestly, she is not like those gold diggers in society. She is good looking, but she always begs to be friends with rich people. If she wants a boyfriend, she will find a tall, rich, and handsome man. How can she live? Xiao Chen listened to the old lady's words and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't expect the old lady to be so fashionable. She knew everything about rich people and tall, rich, and handsome men. She was really fashionable. Xiao Chen wanted to explain, but he was afraid that if he said it, Tang Tang's self-esteem couldn't stand it, so he nodded and said, Auntie, I know, this old lady is nagging again. Well, you have to go to school, right? I won't delay you. Go ahead. The old lady waved her hand and said to Xiao Chen and Tang Tang. They said goodbye to the old lady and went out of the grocery store. Tang Tang said, Xiao Chen, I'm a nagging person. Don't take it to heart. It's okay. Aren't we good buddies? It doesn't matter. Xiao Chen smiled. That's true. I'm being unreasonable. Let's go to school. Tang Tang glanced at Xiao Chen and asked, do you want to take the bus? Do you usually take the bus? Xiao Chen asked. It's only one stop away from the school. It's not too far. I walk there. Tang Tang said, seeing that you are also a fan of the 11th route, let's go together. The 11th route? Xiao Chen was stunned. 2 ones. Isn't it similar to 2 legs? It's the 11th route. Tang Tang smiled and said, haven't you heard of it? This metaphor is quite high-end. It's the first time I've heard of it. Xiao Chen used to drive himself or have a driver to go to school. He had never passed by the 11th route. The two walked to the school together. It was still early. However, just as they entered the school gate, Tang Tang suddenly stopped. "Ah, I forgot to leave you some breakfast. You haven't eaten yet? Didn't you not eat either?" Xiao Chen indeed didn't eat. There were so many people in line. He was embarrassed to leave a portion for himself. "I'll consider it as losing weight. But with your appetite, if you don't eat, won't you starve to death at noon?" Tang Tang looked at Xiao Chen and said, "I'll buy you a few steamed buns." "No, I'm not very hungry today." Xiao Chen found that when he didn't cultivate, the need for food was not as strong as before. He didn't cultivate yesterday, so he wasn't hungry at the moment. It was just that he was busy in the morning, so his stomach was a little empty. Why don't we be extravagant for once? Buy a bag of milk and a bread to eat Western food. Tang Tang thought about the money she earned today. She was a little happy, so she joked. She didn't wait for Xiao Chen to speak. She took Xiao Chen's hand and ran to the small supermarket near the school. Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. In fact, with his strength, he could easily get rid of it, but it might be because the person holding him was Tang Tang. He didn't guard against it. If he was pulled by another girl, Xiao Chen would be very uncomfortable. Although he used to be a playboy, it was only on the surface. It was just for survival. When did he hold a girl's hand? Chapter 50. Don't forget the recommendation votes and bookmarks. Thank you, dear readers who have tipped me. When Tang Tang ran away, dragging Xiao Chen's hand, two cars happened to be parked at the gate of the school. One of them was Jean Bei's Beetle. The lady was sitting inside with an awful look on her face. Although she had known that Xiao Chen had gone to sell breakfast with Tang Tang, she was still rather upset to see the two of them holding hands. It had only been a few days, and he was already hooking up with Tang Tang. Holy sh*t, cousin Menjiang, has my cousin-in-law fallen in love with someone else? Looking at Xiao Chen and Tang Tang, Jean Bei bulged her eyes. However, my brother-in-law's taste is rather strong. This is not the Tang dynasty, is it? I haven't traveled through time, have I? Bei. Cheng Menjiang's face was gloomy. She turned around and glared at Jean Bei with a murderous look. Shut up. Nobody will think that you are a mute. Well. Cousin Menjiang, it seems that you still care about my brother-in-law. Then, you'll have to work harder. I think you have more advantages than Tang Tang. Jean Bei said, even if Tang Tang used to be the most beautiful girl in number 2 high school, it's all in the past now. When my brother-in-law is king her in bed, it's not like he can paste a picture of the past on her face. Cousin Menjiang, you don't have to. Cough, cough. Ouch, ouch. Cousin Menjiang is murdering her own sister. Jean Bei's neck was choked by Cheng Menjiang and was shaking back and forth. She almost passed out because of the choking. One more word, and I'll strangle you. Cheng Menjiang said angrily. What do I care? I just think that the boy should be a good servant as a servant. What's wrong with him flirting with girls? I don't want to get involved. I'm scared of being strangled. Jean Bei acted as if it were none of her business. Bei, do you want to be beaten? Cheng Menjiang was so infuriated by Jean Bei's words that her head was dizzy. You don't talk when you should talk, and you talk when you shouldn't. You are doing this on purpose, aren't you? How is it possible? Jean Bei stuck out her tongue. Cousin Menjiang, what do you want me to say? Nothing. Cheng Menjiang really didn't know what to say. Thinking about it, although Xiao Chen was her servant, she didn't give him a salary. It was reasonable for him to go out and work to earn money. Thinking of this, Cheng Menjiang didn't want to blame Xiao Chen. She just said faintly, let's go to class. In the other car, the person sitting was Yu Xiaochuan. He was a smart person and did not act impulsively. Although he promised Lu Zhenming that he would teach Xiao Chen a lesson yesterday, he did not do it immediately. Instead, he was waiting for a suitable opportunity. At this moment, seeing Tang Tang holding Xiao Chen's hand and running, he couldn't help but frown. If it was any other time, he would have thanked Xiao Chen. Although the Yu family publicly broke off the engagement, the Tang family didn't admit it publicly. They just acquiesced in it. If they really wanted to take it seriously, Tang Tang was still Yu Xiaochuan's fiancé. Now that Xiao Chen was holding Tang Tang's hand and running away, the engagement would definitely fall apart after this matter was spread out. Yu Xiaochuan could also completely get rid of this burden. But now, he still had to find a reason to deal with Xiao Chen, but this reason must not be Tang Tang. He couldn't wait to get rid of Tang Tang. How could he stand up for her? Obviously, it was impossible. Tang Tang took Xiao Chen to the small supermarket at the school gate. Looking at the dazzling variety of food, Xiao Chen didn't stop. He just took the cheapest and largest bread from the shelf, and then picked a cheap bag of milk. He said to Tang Tang, "Okay, that's all." Tang Tang naturally saw the price of the things Xiao Chen took, but she didn't say anything. Instead, she felt very gratified. After Xiao Chen left the family, he no longer had the temper of a young master, which made Tang Tang feel that Xiao Chen was really good. Tang Tang also took the same things and then paid the bill. She left the small supermarket with Xiao Chen. Of course, when they left, they didn't hold hands. Although Tang Tang was a tough woman, she was also embarrassed. When the two walked into the classroom, Jing Xiaokuan also arrived at this time. Seeing Tang Tang and Xiao Chen holding bread and milk, he couldn't help but be a little surprised. "Where's the soybean milk and youtiao? Did you change to selling foreign fast food? Change to bread and milk? Xiao Chen is very good." He needed the dough super fast, and the youtiao was sold quickly, so there was nothing left today. "We could only buy food for ourselves," Tang Tang said, "but fortunately, we earned nearly 100 yuan more than usual." "No way. Is this for real?" "Xiao Chen, when you were in your hometown, you didn't start out selling breakfast, did you?" Jing Xiaokuan knew Tang Tang's sales situation. She sold 100 yuan more than usual, which meant that all the noodles she prepared had to be sold. Xiao Chen became a skilled worker on the first day. "You really guessed it. I used to sell breakfast in my hometown," Xiao Chen said casually. He naturally couldn't explain the identity of a cultivator and Xiao Chen. "Wow, no wonder Tang Tang asked you to go." Jing Xiaokuan really believed it and said with some envy. Before, Xiao Chen couldn't feel anything, but now, Xiao Chen's six senses had been greatly improved. He suddenly detected a trace of envy and jealousy from Jing Xiaokuan's tone, which made Xiao Chen a little surprised. Could it be Jing Xiaokuan like Tang Tang? Thinking of this, Xiao Chen suddenly realized that no wonder Jing Xiaokuan would stand up for him. It turned out that he liked Tang Tang. Tang Tang stood on his side, so he had to do so. However, Xiao Chen could see that there was no love lost. Jing Xiaokuan liked Tang Tang, but Tang Tang didn't like Jing Xiaokuan. These two people basically had no chance. Otherwise, if they wanted to have feelings, they would have had it long ago. They wouldn't have waited until now. However, Tang Tang looked at Xiao Chen with a strange look. This guy used to be the young master of the Xiao family. He went to make breakfast. Who would believe it? Not to mention selling breakfast, I'm afraid he didn't even make breakfast at home. However, it was precisely because of this that Tang Tang admired Xiao Chen very much. This was a real man. He was flexible and could quickly adapt to the environment instead of being defeated by the environment. "You can go if you want. Our youtiao is in short supply now, and we are short of manpower." Xiao Chen laughed. "I also want to, but I have to do morning exercises in the morning. If my dad knew I went to sell youtiao, he would throw me into the oil pan and fry me." Jing Xiaokuan shook his head. He was not an impulsive person. Even if he stood up for Lin Yi, it was entirely because of Tang Tang. Lu Zhenming walked into the classroom with the skinny monkey. He glanced at Xiao Chen, who was talking happily with Tang Tang and Jing Xiaokuan, and snorted coldly. "Brother Ming, let him be cocky for 2 days. When you settle the young miss of the Qing family, killing a country bumpkin will be like playing with a toy." The skinny monkey saw through Lu Zhenming's thoughts, so he said, "That's also true. Business is more important. There's no problem with the steel window, right?" Lu Zhenming nodded and asked. "No problem. Tonight, the steel window is the leader, and there are a few punks. They are real punks in the society, but they have nothing to do with the Lu family. They are from another city. Teacher Lei helped to find them. Each of them has the strength level close to a level 1 warrior." The skinny monkey said. "That's good." A satisfied smile appeared on Lu Zhenming's face. Qing Menjing was not a girl from an ordinary family. She was the young miss of the Qing family. The Qing family was an ancient martial arts family. They must have practiced internal force. Even if they did not have much strength, they must have practiced. If they brought a group of small fries, they might be killed by the young miss herself. Especially with the little witch Jean Bebe by her side. Lu Zhenming couldn't estimate the strength of that little witch. If she could fight a little, those punks would not be a match for the two of them. So to be on the safe side, Lu Zhenming found Lei Dianfeng and hired some people from another city who had the strength close to the first level of internal force. In this way, it would be more real. Lu Zhenming's strength was also close to the first level of internal force. If he fought with them, he would definitely not gain the upper hand directly. He would suffer a little and then win by a narrow margin. The more it was like this, the more moved Miss Qing would be. Otherwise, it would be settled quickly. Except that she would admire Lu Zhenming at that time, Qing Menjing would definitely not be too grateful to him later. However, if he won by a narrow margin and was injured in the battle, it was impossible for Qing Menjing not to visit Lu Zhenming afterward. As time went by, their relationship would be revealed. Qing Menjing sat in her seat, and Jean Bebe was talking to her in a low voice. However, it was obvious that Qing Menjing was not in a good mood. She chatted with Jean Bebe on and off. Qing Menjing's eyes glanced at Xiao Qin now and then. Seeing that Xiao Qin was holding the cheapest bread and milk in his hands, she had complicated feelings. The grudge against Xiao Qin in her heart had faded away, too. If he had not pursued Shen Jingxian and Ke Lin right in front of her, Qing Menjing might have a better impression of him right now, wouldn't she? However, thinking of what Xiao Qin had done in the past, Qing Menjing felt that Xiao Qin deserved it. "If you had been nicer and more attentive to me before, how could I turn a blind eye to you now that you are down and out? Even if I might not buy you the most expensive bread and milk, I would at least get you a meal card for the school cafeteria, wouldn't I?" When the class was about to begin, Miss Wang, the homeroom teacher, walked into the classroom. She turned around and looked at Jing Xiaokuan, saying, "Jing Xiaokuan, take a few classmates and go to the reference room with me to fetch the review materials for the sprint in the 3rd year." After the 3rd year of high school, it would be the college entrance examination. Therefore, there would be a lot of review materials. As the sports committee member of the class, Jing Xiaokuan naturally had to bear the brunt of the labor. Xiao Qin, Lu Zhenming, Shouho Qin, Skinny Monkey, XX Zhang, XX Li. "Come with me." Jing Xiaokuan stood up and called a few names. He had seen through Xiao Chen's physical strength. He was still in the hospital after beating Ma Gangmen. As for Lu Zhenming and Skinny Monkey, they were always jumping up and down energetically when they were not carrying books. Now that Jing Xiaokuan had received Miss Wang's instruction, he naturally would not let them go. The rest of them were the more energetic, warm-hearted boys. Usually, they would be the ones to do such work. Chapter 51. Lu Zhenming wasn't surprised at all. This wasn't the first or second time. He and Jing Xiaokuan didn't get along well, and Jing Xiaokuan used his position to avenge his personal grudges. Lu Zhenming just treated it as a workout. However, he didn't have much conflict with Jing Xiaokuan before. Now it was different. Lu Zhenming felt awkward with Xiao Qin. He didn't know if Xiaochuan had thought of a way to teach Xiaochen a lesson. There were a lot of books this time. Even though there were a lot of people in Class 1, they still had to make 2 trips to and fro to get all the books back. On average, each student had to share at least 10 review materials. After distributing the materials, the day's class officially began. During class, Tang Tang saw Xiaochen reading the study materials attentively. She couldn't help but be a little curious. Xiaochen, why aren't you paying attention in class? Why are you reading the review materials for grade 1? I haven't studied before, so I'm starting from scratch. Xiaochen smiled bitterly. In the past, his image in school was that of a playboy. It would be strange if he studied every day. In fact, Xiaochen would rather cultivate his inner force if he had the time. He didn't have the mind to study at all. But now it was different. Without a family, he could only rely on himself. The second high school was the same as the first high school. In every exam, the top 10 students in the grade would have different levels of scholarships. The first place could even get up to 10,000 yuan. Although 10,000 yuan was nothing in Xiaochen's eyes before, it was different now. 10,000 yuan was equivalent to a body-refining medicine. Xiaochen needed it very much. Now Xiaochen relied on selling breakfast to make ends meet. If he wanted to buy medicine, he had to find another way. The exams for grade 3 were also the most. There were monthly exams, high school entrance exams, final exams, mock exams, and all kinds of exams. Every exam had a reward. This was also one of the strategies of the school to encourage students to study hard, so that the top students could constantly improve themselves and surpass themselves. Fortunately, in the final entrance exam, they could fight for the first place in the city, province, or even the whole country. Puff. No way. You're starting from grade 1? Are you sure you can study by yourself? Tang Tang saw that Xiaochen was seriously reading the first chapter of algebra, set. She suddenly didn't know what to say. It seemed that Xiaochen really knew nothing. Yes, I heard that the first place will get a scholarship of 10,000 yuan. Xiaochen nodded. You want the 10,000 yuan? Hearing Xiaochen's words, Tang Tang was so shocked that her jaw almost dropped. I say, Xiaochen, my results are good enough, but I dare not think about the 10,000 yuan for the first place. This is the goal of the top student, heh. How would you know if you don't try? Xiaochen smiled and didn't say anything. In fact, he was a cultivator now. According to the elder heaven ancestor, he had an extraordinary ability to accept new things. Since it was like this for making deep-fried dough sticks, shouldn't it be the same for learning? Well, if there's anything you don't know, just ask me. At least I'm still a stable candidate for the top 10. Tang Tang looked defeated by Xiaochen. Okay. Xiaochen nodded and didn't hesitate. Great, I don't understand this question very well. Can you help me explain it? Okay. Tang Tang didn't refuse. She thought, let's take a look. What kind of problem can there be in the first chapter? He's already encountered difficulties, and he still wants to be first. However, she didn't want to hurt Xiaochen's self-confidence, so she didn't say much. She just picked up Xiaochen's question and glanced at it. Then, she was slightly stunned and said, actually, this question is beyond the syllabus. It uses the knowledge in the third chapter. After you finish the third chapter, you can easily solve it. The third chapter is like this. As Tang Tang spoke, she intended to briefly explain the content of the third chapter to Xiaochen. However, Xiaochen suddenly understood and waved his hand. He interrupted, so that's how it is. Then, I'll finish reading the algebra for the first grade first, and then I'll do the question. It's up to you. Tang Tang saw that Xiaochen didn't need her to explain anymore, so she didn't force him. In her opinion, Xiaochen was at the moment when his self-confidence was inflated. It was not good to hurt him too much. When he really encountered difficulties, he would know how difficult it was to learn. For the whole morning, Xiaochen was flipping through the algebra book quickly. Tang Tang couldn't understand why Xiaochen could read so fast. How many definitions and formulas did he remember? During the lunch break, Xiao Chen was still reading. Tang Tang was a little helpless and had to call him. Hey, Xiao Chen, do you want lunch? Ah. It's already noon. Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. He came back to reality from the book and found that time passed quickly. Just like when he was cultivating, a few hours had passed in the blink of an eye. Yeah, straight A student Xiao, even if you don't want to eat, I still want to eat. Tang Tang shrugged. Because it was a seat on the side, Tang Tang couldn't get out without going through Xiao Chen. Sorry, I'm too engrossed. Xiao Chen closed the textbook, shook his head, and said, let's go. I'll treat you at noon. Are we going to have a steamed bun buffet again? Tang Tang laughed. How is that possible? I made so much money this morning. Of course, I have to eat something good. Let's go to the cafeteria. Xiao Chen had thought of another way to make money, which was to take the exam. After reading the book for the whole morning, Xiao Chen had confirmed the words of the elder heaven ancestor. Cultivators were really a very awesome profession. He had a photographic memory. Everything in the textbook seemed to be imprinted in his mind after reading it once. Of course, that was not all. What surprised Xiao Chen most was that he could skillfully use the definitions and formulas in the book. This was probably the acceptance ability of cultivators. Okay, anyway, half of it is yours. Let's go to the cafeteria at noon to celebrate our happy cooperation with the breakfast stall. Tang Tang wanted to say that going to the cafeteria was a bit extravagant, but after thinking about it, half of the money was Xiao Chen's. Naturally, she couldn't refuse Xiao Chen's face. The two walked into the cafeteria and went all the way to the second floor. The first floor was the public cafeteria, where they couldn't order food. They could only buy ready-made dishes from various windows. The second floor was similar to a restaurant for rich students to order food. Tang Tang had been here before, but since she became seriously ill and became like this, she had broken away from her family. She had never been here again. For a moment, she was filled with emotion. Unexpectedly, she came here again with the young master of the Xiao family, Xiao Chen. Before, Jing Xiaokuan had invited Tang Tang, but she didn't agree. Turning her head, Tang Tang found that Xiao Chen had chosen a table. It was a bright table with a good position near the window. Seeing Xiao Chen sit down, Tang Tang smiled bitterly. This was the table where Yu Xiaochuan invited her to dinner 2 years ago. In the past, although Tang Tang didn't have any feelings for Yu Xiaochuan, she also knew that the marriage fate of the children of aristocratic families was not up to one's own choice. Yu Xiaochuan was gentle and didn't have any scandals at school. So when he invited Tang Tang to dinner, Tang Tang couldn't refuse him. But later, Tang Tang became seriously ill and became like this. Yu Xiaochuan didn't even talk to her anymore. The engagement was in name only. After thinking about it, Tang Tang still chose to sit down. She and Yu Xiaochuan didn't fall in love, so she didn't avoid too much. She just felt a little emotional. The waiter brought the menu, and Xiao Chen handed it directly to Tang Tang. Tang Tang didn't order 2 expensive dishes. Instead, she randomly ordered 3 home-cooked dishes and 2 bowls of rice. Then she asked the waiter to serve the dishes. After ordering, Tang Tang went to the bathroom. She was so suffocated in the morning that she almost wet her pants. But seeing Xiao Chen's concentrated look, she wanted to go out several times, but she held back. Kid, don't you know this is the seat of the young master of our group? Are you blind? How dare you sit here? When Xiao Chen was thinking about the algebraic formula he read before, suddenly a voice sounded. Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. He turned his head and saw a boy of medium height. He was dressed sleekly. At first glance, he knew he was the son of a rich family. But this kind of son of a rich family couldn't enter Xiao Chen's eyes in the past. He could only be an errand boy. Of course, this person in front of him seemed to be an errand boy for some group's young master. Do you have eyes on your ass? What's wrong with me sitting here? Is there a problem? Director Su just asked me to sit here. Xiaochen just came to second middle school, and he didn't want to offend anyone, but he wouldn't give up his seat because of a few words from this guy. After all, this was the first time he treated a girl to a meal alone. Although it was a buddy, Xiaochen didn't want to lose face. Director Su? Lang Shiqing was stunned. He didn't expect Xiaochen to bring up the school's teaching director, Director Su. He was Yu Xiaochuan's underling. These 2 days, Yu Xiaochuan had been talking about finding a way to teach Xiaochen a lesson. As Yu Xiaochuan's underling, Lang Shiqing naturally had to share his boss's worries. Lang Shiqing came to the cafeteria for lunch. He saw that Yu Xiaochuan's special table was occupied, so he immediately rushed over to chase the person away. As a result, he saw that it was Xiaochen, and he was overjoyed. This was like a dozing pillow. However, Yu Xiaochuan, who was following behind, frowned. Although he really wanted to teach Lin Yi a lesson, he was a hypocrite. Everything he did needed to be justified. Although this table in the school, everyone recognized that it was Yu Xiaochuan's special table, the problem was that the school didn't put a sign on the table that said, Yu Xiaochuan special. So, in theory, this table was still for the school's use. Yu Xiaochuan didn't want to use this reason to find trouble with Xiaochen. He didn't want to destroy his perfect image for an insignificant person. However, the underling had already stepped forward. As the boss, he could only follow. However, he said politely, "Classmate, I usually sit here, and I'm used to it. Why don't you change your seat and go to the side? Anyway, the dishes haven't been served yet. This meal is on me. It's my treat." Chapter 52. Young Master Kun, this. Lang Shiqing was a little puzzled. Didn't Yu Xiaochuan want to teach Xiaochen a lesson? Why did he talk to him politely? Did he want to trick Xiaochen in other ways? For example, let Xiaochen mistakenly think that Yu Xiaochuan was going to treat him, so he ordered a table of delicacies. In the end, he didn't treat Xiaochen and asked him to pay the bill himself. However, Lu Zhenming had used this trick before, and it had failed. Yu Xiaochuan waved his hand and stopped Lang Shiqing from continuing. Then he said to Xiaochen, "What do you think, classmate?" "Yu Xiaochuan, I didn't know that you are so nostalgic. Are you used to sitting at the table? Then, fiancé, do you have any nostalgia?" Tang Tang saw what happened here from a distance. She quickly ran over and directly fired at Yu Xiaochuan. Yu Xiaochuan was slightly stunned. He turned his head and saw Tang Tang sitting leisurely in front of Xiaochen. His expression couldn't help but slightly change, but it quickly returned to normal. His originally gloomy face instantly turned into a smile. He said, "Congratulations, Tang Tang. You found your happiness again. Our things are all in the past. Don't mention it." Yu Xiaochuan easily and skillfully avoided Tang Tang's questioning about nostalgia. Instead, he took this opportunity to thoroughly express his attitude. That was to say, this was equivalent to him personally catching Tang Tang in the act of cheating on him. It was completely reasonable for him to divorce Tang Tang. Tang Tang could not pester Yu Xiaochuan because of this in the future. This was a matter of the face of the aristocratic family. Tang Tang naturally understood Yu Xiaochuan's meaning. She sneered, "Yes, Xiaochen is my boyfriend. He is very good to me. Congratulations. Won't you treat me?" "Of course, I'll treat you. I just said that this meal is on me. What do you want to eat?" "Just order," Yu Xiaochuan said with a faint smile. "Xiaochen, let's have some lobster and abalone, and then take it away." Tang Tang took the menu without hesitation. Yu Xiaochuan smiled indifferently. This amount of money was just a drop in the bucket for him. Taking advantage of today's opportunity, he completely severed his relationship with Tang Tang, which made him very happy. In fact, in the past 2 years, Yu Xiaochuan had been trying to get hold of Tang Tang's weakness all the time. Unfortunately, Tang Tang did not give him the chance at all, and she was not too intimate with boys. Originally, Yu Xiaochuan had pinned his hopes on Jing Xiaokuan, but Tang Tang never gave Jing Xiaokun a chance, which made Yu Xiaochuan very disappointed. He did not expect that Tang Tang would be so intimate with a bumpkin from the countryside. Yu Xiaochuan found it hard to understand what kind of taste Tang Tang had. Even if she had grown into a pig, she must have been the daughter of an aristocratic family, right? Is that how you look at me? However, it had nothing to do with him. It didn't matter who Tang Tang looked for, as long as his purpose was achieved. Hearing that the other party was Yu Xiaochuan, Xiao Chen was not polite at all. He directly called the waiter and ordered a lot of lobster, abalone, sea cucumber, and king crab. Anyway, if he couldn't finish it, he could take it away. Since there was a rich guy treating, it would be a waste not to eat. Xiao Chen even brought out his dinner with the eldest young mistress. Recently, the eldest young mistress had not eaten much in the morning and night. Other than instant noodles, she only had instant noodles. Xiao Chen felt a little bad. Hearing that Xiao Chen was going to bring out the dinner, Tang Tang sighed slightly. It seemed that in Xiao Chen's heart, Qing Menjing was always his goddess, and she was irreplaceable. He had been reduced to Qing Menjing's servant, but he still wanted to please her. Tang Tang did not know what to say. When Tang Tang and Xiao Chen went out of the cafeteria with a lot of bags, Yu Xiaochuan threw a card to the waiter and asked her to pay the bill. This money was a piece of cake for Yu Xiaochuan. He was the eldest grandson of the Yu family, and also the only grandson of the first wife. The entire Yu family's money could be used by him. Young Master Kun, don't you want to teach that Xiao Chen a lesson? Why did you invite him to a big meal again? Lang Shiqing did not understand. This reason is too bad. At most, I can only let him change the table. If I don't let him go, it's not my style. Yu Xiaochuan said faintly. Moreover, it's very cost-effective to use this matter to end the matter with Tang Tang. I see. Young Master Kun is a gentleman, so he doesn't care about them. Otherwise, if it were Lu Zhenming, he would directly grab the chair. Lang Shiqing was Yu Xiaochuan's follower since middle school. He knew Yu Xiaochuan's hypocritical character, but he did not dare to say it, so he could only flatter him. Yu Xiaochuan smiled faintly and did not take it seriously. He thought in his heart that after today's matter, he could no longer teach Xiao Chen a lesson blatantly. Otherwise, others would see it and think that he was jealous of Tang Tang, which was not his original intention. Unexpectedly, a sudden incident at noon made Yu Xiaochuan have a headache, but there was also a gain. There must be a loss. That hypocrite just now is Yu Buchuan? Xiao Chen carried a lot of food and said happily. Not only did he not spend a penny for lunch, but he also brought back a lot of food. His name is Yu Xiaochuan, not Yu Buchuan. Tang Tang glared at Xiao Chen. Do you know him? I've heard of him, but he and I are not the same kind of people. I didn't have much contact with him before. If it weren't for his name being similar to Yu Buchuan's, I wouldn't remember his name at all. Xiao Chen said. Today's matter will probably be spread by Yu Xiaochuan soon. He doesn't know who you are, but your Xiao family and the Qing family all know. Tang Tang hesitated for a moment and said apologetically, I said that you are my boyfriend. It was just a momentary impulse, but it may bring you some trouble. What trouble? I hang out with you every day. Trouble can't be avoided. These are small problems. Xiao Chen did not care. In his opinion, the closer he was to Tang Tang, the more the Qing family would be at ease and feel that he and Qing Menjing would not fall in love with each other for a long time. Maybe I'm thinking too much. We are both abandoned by our families. I guess they will just treat it as a joke if they know. Tang Tang saw that Xiao Chen was free and easy, so she did not dwell on these things anymore. When Qing Menjing and Jin Bebe walked out of the cafeteria, they happened to see Xiao Chen and Tang Tang walking in front of them, talking and laughing with big and small bags. Qing Menjing gritted her teeth. She was about to throw away the lunchbox in her hand. I'm so angry. I thought you were so pitiful to eat instant noodles and steamed buns every day, so I packed 2 dishes for you to eat at home. But you and Tang Tang went out to eat and drink, and you brought so much back. Are you selling breakfast in the morning? It seems that my cousin-in-law has food, Jean Bebe said. I packed them for myself for dinner. He didn't get any. I haven't eaten meat for several days, and I can eat a lot. Ching Menjing thought it was better not to throw them away. After all, she also needed to eat at night. When they returned to the classroom, Jing Xiaokuan happened to go home for dinner. Seeing Xiao Chen and Tang Tang walk into the classroom with several lunchboxes, he was stunned. Hey! Is someone treating us again today? Did I miss something? According to Jing Xiaokuan's understanding, Tang Tang was a stingy girl, and Xiao Chen was poor. How could they spend money on a big meal? It was impossible. There could only be one result: someone was treating them. A psycho named Yu Xiaochuan is treating us, so we ordered more. Xiao Chen handed the lunchbox to Jing Xiaokuan and said, Here you are. We'll finish the rest before the evening class. Yu Xiaochuan? He invited you to dinner? Jing Xiaokuan took the lunchbox, and his expression changed slightly. He was not as excited as he had been when he saw the food. He turned to Tang Tang and asked, Yu Xiaochuan. Why did he invite you? Nothing. He said he wanted to congratulate me on finding a new boyfriend, so he invited me to dinner, Tang Tang said lightly. New boyfriend? When did you get a boyfriend? Jing Xiaokuan's expression was stagnant, and he was a little unnatural. It's Xiao Chen. Yu Xiaochuan misunderstood, and I didn't explain. Tang Tang waved her hand and said, He's just making an excuse to cut all ties with me. It doesn't matter. I know he's been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. He just happened to see me with Xiao Chen today. I see. Jing Xiaokuan suddenly breathed a sigh of relief and nodded. He said, But this is also a good thing. Yu Xiaochuan is a hypocrite. Just looking at him makes me angry. By the way, does Xiao Chen know about your relationship? Yes, I told him. Tang Tang nodded, but she didn't say much. Jing Xiaokuan didn't know if Xiao Chen knew about Tang Tang's past. Since Yu Xiaochuan was paying for it, Jing Xiaokuan didn't hesitate. He grabbed 2 lobsters and ate them, while Xiao Chen continued to read. After finishing the last few chapters of the first-grade algebra, he began to work on the exercises. Sure enough, Xiao Chen found that these exercises were all handy when he went back to do them. Some of the questions were indeed beyond the syllabus and the knowledge points of the corresponding chapters, but Xiao Chen had read the entire first-grade algebra book. So as long as it was first-grade algebra, Xiao Chen could easily solve it. In the afternoon, Tang Tang saw Xiao Chen scribbling on the exercise book. His speed was faster than a celebrity signing a book. Before the evening class, Xiao Chen finally put down the pen in his hand and put down the exercise book. Are you doing the exercises or scribbling? Tang Tang found it hard to comprehend that Xiao Chen had finished an exercise book from beginning to end in just one afternoon. Of course I'm doing the exercises, but I haven't checked if it's right or wrong. Although Xiao Chen felt that he shouldn't make mistakes, it was better to check the answers. Let me check it for you. Tang Tang really didn't believe that Xiao Chen could self-study first-grade algebra in one day and finish the exercise book. If that was the case, then the genius should go to hell. Okay. Xiao Chen just wanted to take a breath. After returning to reality from the sea of exercises, Xiao Chen felt as if it was a lifetime ago. The previous Xiao Chen definitely couldn't make money in this way, right? However, the current Xiao Chen was truly at his wits' end. Tang Tang took Xiao Chen's exercise book and then compared the answers. Meanwhile, Xiao Chen took out the lunch from under the desk and placed it on the table one by one. Jing Xiaokuan just went to buy drinks and came back. Chapter 53. Since you are treating me, I have to show my appreciation. Although the drink isn't much, it's a token of my appreciation. Obviously, Jing Xiaokuan was also poor and didn't have much pocket money. As he spoke, he suddenly saw Tang Tang reading the exercise book. He couldn't help but wonder, Tang Tang, what are you doing? The exercise book was just distributed today. Don't tell me you started to do it. It's not me, It's the top student, Xiao Chen. He has finished the first grade algebra exercise book. Tang Tang didn't know what to say at the moment. What could be used to describe her mood at the moment? Shock. Shock. Anger. Shocked to death. Not only did Xiao Chen finish it, but the accuracy rate actually reached 100%. At least, Tang Tang had checked the exercise questions for 5 chapters and hadn't found any mistakes. It was completely correct. If Tang Tang didn't see Xiao Chen writing and drawing on the exercise book, she would even think that Xiao Chen copied the answers. Because for many calculation questions, Xiao Chen omitted the steps and wrote the answers directly. However, Xiao Chen obviously didn't copy it. It must be the result of mental calculation. Damn! You finished it? Jing Xiaokuan also looked at Xiao Chen as if he was looking at a monster. Sure enough, I said that it's not easy to enter the second high school. First, you don't have money, and second, it doesn't matter. You must rely on real talent. Xiao Chen shrugged his shoulders. He thought to himself, true talent, my ass. Before today, I didn't even know what assembly was. Now, you call it true talent? However, Xiao Chen didn't explain much. This kind of thing couldn't be explained clearly to Jing Xiaokuan. Tang Tang probably knew most of his secrets, but Xiao Chen trusted her a lot. He always felt that Tang Tang was a girl who was worth befriending. I finally found a mistake. Wahahaha. Tang Tang suddenly exclaimed with joy as if she had discovered a new continent. This made Jing Xiaokuan and Xiao Chen a little speechless. What's the fuss about finding a mistake? Xiao Chen, you're not omnipotent. You're also at fault. As Tang Tang spoke, she proudly pointed at the question that did not match the answer and said to Xiao Chen, do you need me to tell you? All right. Xiao Chen felt a little strange. Even though he wrote these questions quickly, he had to go through 2 calculations in his head before writing the results. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be any mistakes, so Xiao Chen was not ashamed to ask. This question should be like this, like this, like this. The result will be out. How could it be wrong? The same result as yours? Tang Tang demonstrated the question to Xiao Chen, and the answer was exactly the same as Xiao Chen's, which made Tang Tang feel a little strange. I was expecting the same result. The reference answer might have been printed incorrectly, Jing Xiaokuan said. Puff. Tang Tang was speechless. Top student Xiao, I'm convinced. Top student Xiao. This name is not very good. Xiao Chen said with a bitter face. Why? Tang Tang felt a little strange. I've been reading a biography recently. It's called Campus Belle's Bodyguard. There's a character called Xiao Wangba, who was abused. Xiao Chen said. #yen%. Asterisk. Tang Tang didn't know what to say. Xiao Chen was already like this, and he still had time to read those entertainment novels and biographies. However, Tang Tang finally saw what a genius was today. Compared with a genius, there was still a gap between a top student and a genius. One was born, and the other was acquired through hard work. They directly lost at the starting line. Jing Xiaokuan didn't know the details of Xiao Chen. Although he was shocked, he was not too surprised. In his understanding, if Xiao Chen was not a top student, how could he enter the second high school? Qing Menjing looked at Xiao Chen, Tang Tang, and Jing Xiaokuan eating. She was very unhappy. Don't you know that I'm also very hungry? Bebe, let's eat too. Qing Menjing didn't want to leave the food she bought at noon for the evening. She planned to finish it now. In fact, before the evening self-study session, most students simply ate some biscuits or instant noodles. Few people would open their lunchboxes and gorge themselves like Xiao Chen. Ah. Cousin Menjing, aren't these your dinner? Jean Bebe was stunned. They've been brought forward. If you eat them now, you don't have to eat them in the evening, Qing Menjing said fiercely. Oh. Jean Bebe nodded and didn't ask more. She directly picked up the chopsticks and started eating. She was a foodie. While eating, she said, "Delicious. Delicious." Ching Menjing looked at Jean Bebe, who was gorging herself. For some reason, she didn't have much appetite. It seemed that the food in front of her was not as delicious as the instant noodles made by Xiao Chen. In the blink of an eye, it was time for school to end. Xiao Chen held a pile of review materials and walked out of the classroom with Tang Tang and Jing Xiaokuan. However, Lu Zhenming and Skinny Monkey-like did not leave. After Ching Menjing left, they slowly stood up leisurely. Lu Zhenming glanced at Skinny Monkey-like and asked, "Is everything done?" Skinny Monkey-like nodded and said, "Okay. We asked the people from the repair factory to fix it. They are absolutely professional. We won't find any problems in a short time. Let's go. It's our chance to show off." Lu Zhenming's plan this time was perfectly designed. Every step had been deliberated over and over again to ensure that it was carried out without any mistakes. Carrying 2 bags of review materials, Ching Menjing and Jean Bebe got into Jean Bebe's Beetle in the parking lot. As usual, Jean Bebe was about to start the car and go home. Why didn't it start? Jean Bebe tried to start the car several times, but the car still didn't start, which made Jean Bebe a little confused. "Cousin Menjing, the car seems to be broken." "Broken? How can it be broken? Is it out of gas?" Ching Menjing was slightly stunned. She didn't expect that the car would have a problem. "No, I just filled the tank with gas yesterday. It's full." Jean Bebe also looked up and down at her car in puzzlement. "Is the battery out of power?" Ching Menjing knew something about cars, but it was the most basic knowledge. "No, the car still has power. Look, you can turn on the radio." While saying that, Jean Bebe turned on the radio. "Forget it. Let's take a taxi back." Ching Menjing had no choice but to say that. "That's the only way. It's too late today. Let's call a 4S shop to tow the car tomorrow." Jean Bebe nodded and got out of the car with Ching Menjing. Although the two of them had practiced internal strength since they were young, they were girls after all. Carrying a bag of review materials each, they felt it was a little heavy. Fortunately, it was not far from the school gate. However, when the two of them walked to the school gate, they were both dumbfounded at the same time. How could there be a taxi here? At the school gate, all the cars parked were the parents' cars that came to pick up students. There was no place for a taxi to park. Last time, Ching Menjing and Xiao Chen took a taxi at the school gate, it was because Xiao Chen had a fight with Ma Gangmen and missed the rush hour. Now, if they wanted to take a taxi, they could only walk 1 kilometer to avoid the cars that picked up students and call a taxi at the intersection. Otherwise, taxis rarely drove here. Walk there? Ching Menjing was also a little helpless. They were so unlucky that their car had to break down. "It's so heavy. You will die of exhaustion, won't you?" Jean Bebe lowered her head and looked at her books. Then, she looked at her breasts. "My breasts are heavy enough, but the books are even heavier. I can't walk there. Who asked you to have such big breasts?" Ching Menjing said angrily, "Then what do you suggest we do?" "Huh? Cousin-in-law?" Jean Bebe suddenly waved her hands in a direction and shouted. Xiao Chen had just parted ways with Tang Tang and Jing Xiaokuan at the gate of the school and was about to run home when he heard a familiar voice calling him cousin-in-law. Wasn't it Jean Bebe? Xiao Chen was an awesome cultivator right now. His senses were extremely keen. He captured Jean Bebe's voice immediately. "Bebe, what are you yelling for? What if somebody else hears you?" Ching Menjing was somewhat embarrassed. She covered Jean Bebe's mouth with her hand. Fortunately, it was a mess at the school gate when school was dismissed. The sounds of quarreling, laughing, cursing, and parents calling for their children were all in a mess. Nobody paid attention to what Jean Bebe shouted. If it were not for Xiao Chen's sensitivity, he probably would not have heard it at all. Xiao Chen walked close quickly. Looking at the lady and Jean Bebe who were each carrying a bag of books, he asked in confusion, "What's wrong with you? What are you doing here? You didn't drive home? Our car broke down. Help us carry it back." Cheng Menjing had been angry at Xiao Chen all day. Seeing him, she handed the bag in her hands to Xiao Chen unceremoniously. Xiao Chen smiled and took it over. Wasn't that the job of a manservant? As for carrying a bag, Xiao Chen was quite good at it. Jean Bebe gave the bag in her hands to Xiao Chen too. With a sneaky smile, she said in a low voice, "Thank you, cousin-in-law." Bebe. Cheng Menjing was so angry that she was going to kick Jean Bebe. However, Jean Bebe quickly dodged and said pitifully, "Cousin Menjing." Bebe said it in a low voice this time. Nobody else heard it. Cheng Menjing did not expect that Jean Bebe would be so unreasonable. However, what she had asked just now was what if somebody else heard it? Now that Jean Bebe had said that nobody else could hear it, what else could she do? He could only swallow his grievances in silence. With a snort, he walked in front. Jean Bebe chased after her with a smile. Xiao Chen followed her with 2 bags of books. The 3 of them walked to the intersection, only to discover that there was not a single taxi. After waiting for 10 minutes, there was still no taxi. Cheng Menjing's legs were numb, and Jean Bebe's breasts were almost falling off. Therefore, the 2 girls discussed for a while and decided to keep walking. It was not going to work out at all if they kept waiting. In fact, the taxis that passed by here had all been blocked by the gangsters that Lu Zhenming hired and asked to take a detour. Although the taxi drivers were rather baffled by the request to take a detour, who was willing to argue with a bunch of gangsters who were obviously not good guys and were obviously carrying daggers and sticks. They would run as fast as they could when they ran into those gangsters. The taxi drivers were out for business. Who was willing to piss off those gangsters? By then, not only would their cars be smashed, so would their passengers. The loss outweighed the gain. It was also the reason why no taxi passed by after Cheng Menjing and Jean Bebe waited for a long time. Chapter 54. The 3 of them walked for a while. This time, they came to the alley where Xiao Chen was ambushed last time. This was the road to the villa area. Although it was not the only way and they could take a detour by car, walking was the shortest way. Xiao Chen didn't know why, but when he entered the alleyway, he suddenly felt uneasy. When they left yesterday, Xiao Chen did not feel anything special. Therefore, it was definitely not a psychological shadow. Then, there was only one conclusion: he was in danger. Someone must be ambushing here, and it seemed that the person was coming for him. Last time, Xiao Chen found the enemy because he felt someone was following him. This time, Xiao Chen found something unusual as soon as he entered the alley. Clearly, the perception of Xiao Chen's spiritual sense had improved along with his strength. "Elder Heaven Ancestor, did you feel it?" Xiao Chen asked subconsciously. "Yes, I felt it. But the enemy's strength is not very high, just a little bit stronger than before." Elder Heaven Ancestor's voice sounded in Xiao Chen's mind. Xiao Chen thought that Elder Heaven Ancestor said that the enemy's strength was not very high, which meant that Xiao Chen might have a chance to fight with them with his current strength. However, Elder Heaven Ancestor's words made Xiao Chen completely speechless. A little bit stronger than the last one? What level is this master at? It should be a warrior who has just reached level 4 of internal strength, just a little bit stronger than the last one, Elder Heaven Ancestor said, but if you meet him, you can only run away. Try to run away. I can run away, but what about the 2 in front of me? Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. At this moment, Cheng Menjing and Jean Bebe had walked into the alley. If he called for them, he would definitely alert the enemy. It would be a problem whether he could run away, let alone them. However, if he didn't ask them to run on their own, would the enemy use them as hostages to force him to submit, or hurt them directly? Although Xiao Chen didn't think that anyone would dare to make a move on the young miss of the Cheng family, he still hadn't figured out who was behind the scenes. Even if the other party made a move, the Qing family wouldn't be able to find them, right? Therefore, Xiaochen did not dare to take the gamble. Recently, the Missy had been treating him well. Although she was a little arrogant, she was the Missy. Xiaochen could understand. What's more, even if Xiaochen ran, he might not be able to escape. Even if he had just stepped into stage 4, he still had 4 times the explosive power of an ordinary person. It would be a piece of cake for him to catch up with Xiaochen. Just as they were thinking, a black shadow appeared in front of the 3 of them without any warning, blocking their way. "You, who are you?" Qing Menjing was walking in front, so she was shocked when the man in black appeared. She asked subconsciously. The man in black ignored Qing Menjing, but looked at Xiaochen. Then, he took out a photo from his pocket and looked at it before asking, "Are you Xiaochen?" "No," Xiaochen said subconsciously. "No?" The man in black was obviously stunned. He looked at Xiaochen again, and then looked at the photo in his hand. Then, he frowned and suddenly said, "Are you lying to me? It's obviously you in this photo. Do you think I'm stupid and easy to fool?" Xiaochen didn't expect that the man in black would be so serious about his casual explanation. The man in black's subsequent actions also made Xiaochen feel a little strange. This person, why does he look a little stupid? And, this person is called stupid? It seemed like he was really a little simple-minded. "Let me have a look." Xiaochen pretended to be confused and stretched out his hand. Looking at Xiaochen's action, the stupid man didn't seem to be pretending, so he reached out his hand and handed the photo to Xiaochen. "You look so good. If it's not you, who is it?" Qing Menjing and Jean Bebe stepped aside. They didn't know the origin of this stupid man, but they tacitly didn't say anything. They just wanted to wait and see. They hadn't figured out the situation in front of them yet. "Oh, so you're looking for my brother." "This is my brother's photo," Xiaochen looked at the photo and said directly. "Your brother?" The stupid man was stunned. "My twin brother," Xiaochen said with a nod. "This is your brother? You're not Xiaochen?" The stupid man didn't seem to believe Xiaochen's words. "No, you can ask them if you don't believe me," Xiaochen said, pointing at Jean Bebe. He believed that with Jean Bebe's intelligence, she would definitely be able to find an explanation. "Yes, this is the eldest daughter of the Qing family, Qing Menjing. She used to be Xiaochen's fiancée. The Qing family broke off the engagement with Xiaochen. How could he still be with us? You're also a warrior, aren't you? You must have heard about the aristocratic families, haven't you? What do you think?" Jean Bebe said, pointing at Qing Menjing. "Oh, the elder brother's engagement was broken off, and the younger brother took his place, right?" The stupid man still had some logical thinking. However, he had been cultivating since he was young and didn't have much contact with the outside world. Therefore, he looked dumb and was given the nickname, "Stupid Man," by the others. "Yes, you're so smart." Jean Bebe raised her 5 fingers and praised him. "Where's your brother?" The stupid man nodded and mostly believed it. He turned to look at Xiaochen and asked. "My brother ran away when he heard that someone was going to kill him," Xiaochen said. "Why are you looking for him?" "Of course I'm looking for him too." The stupid man suddenly looked at Xiaochen warily. "Are you trying to trick me?" "Of course not. If you're looking for him, I have to at least figure out whether you're a friend or a foe before I can tell you where my brother is, right?" Xiaochen also started to play dumb. He had to use a dumb tone when talking to this kind of idiot. "I also heard that someone was going to cause him trouble, so I came to help." "I'm his friend," the stupid man said seriously. "Oh, I see. Then let me think about where my brother told me before he left." Xiaochen nodded as if he didn't doubt it at all. "Yes, think about it." Hearing Xiaochen's words, the stupid man immediately nodded and said. His mission this time was to kill Xiaochen. This was his first training mission after he finished his apprenticeship. Naturally, he had to complete it perfectly in order to gain the approval of his family. Xiao Chen pretended to be deep in thought, but in his heart, he was secretly groaning. This blockhead could fool him for a while, but he couldn't fool him forever. When this idiot called his master behind him, he would know that he was talking nonsense. At that time, he would die even more miserably. Help me carry this for a while. It's too heavy and will affect my thinking. Xiao Chen couldn't think of a solution at the moment, so he started to talk nonsense to buy time. Okay. To Xiao Chen's surprise, the stupid man nodded and agreed without thinking. He reached out to take the bag from Xiao Chen's hand and carried it. Xiao Chen thought about the countermeasures as he walked. The enemy in front of him was very tricky, especially with Qing Menjing and Jean Beibei beside him, which made him a bit nervous. In the distance, Lu Zhenming, Thin Monkey, Ma Gangsua, Lei Dianfeng, and a group of gangsters were sitting behind a secluded public toilet, waiting for Qing Menjing to come over quietly. According to Lu Zhenming's previous route, there was a 99% chance that Qing Menjing and Jean Beibei would take this route. Because their car was broken, and they couldn't hail a taxi, so it was impossible for them to take another route. But this route was the shortest one. Besides, this empty alley was the best place for Ma Gangsua to lead those gangsters to take action. Huh? Brother Ming, isn't that Xiao Chen? Thin Monkey observed the entrance of the alley with a pair of infrared binoculars. He saw Qing Menjing and Jean Beibei walking over, followed by Xiao Chen and a man that he didn't know. Xiao Chen? Why is he here? Lu Zhenming was dazed for a moment. He picked up the binoculars and looked over, too. As he expected, he saw Xiao Chen here, too. I don't know. I saw him give the 2 bags in his hand to the man next to him. Thin Monkey said. Is it possible that Jean Beibei found the books too heavy and grabbed a random man to carry them? Lu Zhenming speculated. It's possible. Thin Monkey nodded. After all, however smart he was, it was impossible for him to guess the relationship between Xiao Chen and Qing Menjing. In his eyes, the only possibility was Lu Zhenming's speculation. The other big guy seems to be a laborer. Is it possible that Xiao Chen found another laborer because he couldn't carry them? In their eyes, Xiao Chen and Qing Menjing and Jean Beibei belonged to 2 different worlds. It was impossible for them to have any connection. Who knows? It's possible. Forget about the big guy. Xiao Chen, on the other hand. Hee. There's a way to heaven, but you chose to walk into hell. I was worried that I didn't have a chance to mess with you. Now that you have come to me, I'd like to see if you are a good-for-nothing or not. A cunning smile flashed on Lu Zhenming's lips. He said to Ma Gangsua, bring some men to beat the guy up later. He is the one who hurt your brother. Got it. Ma Gangsua nodded. He could save the damsel in distress and teach Xiao Chen a lesson. It was truly killing 2 birds with 1 stone. After Xiao Chen was beaten badly, he would show up again and scare Qing Menjing a bit. However, what Lu Zhenming did not expect was that his words had been heard by the elder heaven ancestor inside Xiao Chen's body. Although Xiao Chen was a cultivator in the 2nd level of the refinement stage, and his senses had been improved, his hearing was still too far away to hear what he said. However, the elder heaven ancestor heard it clearly. Xiao Chen, someone is going to mess with you up ahead. Elder heaven ancestor's voice echoed next to Xiao Chen's ears. I know. What's wrong? Xiao Chen was dazed for a moment, but then he asked, is it not the guy in front of us? Hee. No, it's an old friend of yours. Elder heaven ancestor said and passed on what he had heard to Xiao Chen. Although the elder heaven ancestor did not want to be the messenger, he had no choice but to remind Xiao Chen in secret. It would not do him any good if Xiao Chen died. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.